Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of Old Men Magic, where your hosts Alex and Steve discuss current and not so current matters in the world of Magic the Gathering. Greetings, Alex. How are you doing?
Greetings, Steve. How are you?
Pretty good. Magic the Gathering news, Alex.
Oh,
Anything in the world of Magic the Gathering?
oh, Magic the Gathering lots. I bought a few cards just this morning.
I was wondering if I was going to suggest at some point in the future, maybe we have like a monthly pickup segment or something. So this can be the beginning of our
We
monthly
can
pickup segment.
mention things we bought. I don't think any of my things are really exciting or good. Um,
They're exciting to you, though. That's
yeah,
all that
to me
matters.
they're exciting. That's the thing. Let's see. I bought um a reset from Legends, a card
Oh,
I've mentioned before. I think to you, it's an uncommon.
it's a blue stick with
Yeah,
eyeballs on the top.
it's the stick. Blue card, stick with eyeballs. And for 2 blue mana, it allows you to untap all of your lands, um, and you have to play it on your opponent's turn. So it basically, you yeah, fill in with your imagination what you do with that.
Interrupt. You can I mean, can you interrupt, untap your lands, and then interrupt again with a counter spell? I'm assuming. Can you do that?
Immediately in response to one of their spells, do both of those. I don't know if you can do that, but I mean, I think you could probably use it at the beginning of. I don't even have the card pulled up here. Hold on.
There are
Oh,
no interrupts anymore in Magic the
or
Gathering, right?
somewhere else. That is correct. No, interrupts are gone.
So what are they now?
It's just instance.
Oh, so maybe you could now, in response to a spell your opponent played, play a reset followed by a counter spell. If they're both instants, doesn't the instant speed supersede everything else? This is me not remembering how Magic works
Yeah, no,
after
yeah,
not
I
playing
don't
for 20
remember
years.
enough either. We're getting too technical now already at this point. We're talking about like how instance resolve on the stack. Maybe you could do that. We should look up the card. I could look it up on Gatherer and see. I was in the middle actually of looking up zombie goblins for you to see if I could find a few. I might have found one or two. We can come back to that if you want.
I'm hoping some of these Legends cards keep dropping. I would like to pick up some non-reserve list stuff, like Reset. I would like to pick up an original Recall. I would like to pick up a
Yeah.
Concordant Crossroads. What else would I like to pick up that's not reserve list? Mostly a Recall.
Well, I don't know. I looked it up on Gather. I don't see any comments about that specifically, but
Hmm.
we can try to find out. In any case, I got it from a good place that I know will send it in very nice condition. Um, and
What is that place?
MTG Seattle.
Okay. I was going to say MTGC.
I like them. Let's see here. What was I don't know. This card, if you look back, it's one of the few cards, especially considering it's an uncommon. I was thinking, uh, if you look back at like price in 2013, 2014, it's like 15, $20.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it went up to like 30 some dollars or 2015 through 2018. So it had value long before the pandemic spike. And
Yeah.
then from in the pandemic spike, it went from like about 30-ish up to above 50. And now it's back down to I got one
Coming
for
back
like
down.
34 today.
That's pretty
Um,
good. What
and
condition?
near me.
That's good then, yeah.
Yeah. Um, So I don't know, maybe we'll see a few more of them creep into the market with Dominaria, but I think that's a card that, it's been $30 ish for a while.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck? I'll get that. I like it. Um, I bought a few pain lands because I wanted a few more mana options. Not too many, but I'm trying to see. I lost my order history from this. I'm sorry.
Necessary. Yeah, there's a bunch of legend cards that aren't reserve list that have been starting to drop a bit in price after these spikes in 2020, 2021.
Lots of stuff is
They're
creeping back.
becoming more reasonable, and I would like to pick them up. Like, I would like to get another Underworld Dreams. I would like to get a Recall. I would like to get a Caracas. I would like a Land Tax. All these things are under $100 now.
Mhm. Land tax would be good to have. I'm glad I have a Caracas. I picked
Yeah.
up a tainted wood and a tainted isle today,
Okay.
um, which you told me about. I didn't know about them,
They're
but
cheap as hell. It seems like people in pre-modern don't play them that often, and I actually heard one person comment on them say they weren't very good, but I don't know if you're literally just
what do they
playing a
use
two-color
instead?
deck. I don't even remember.
I mean, you have City of Brass, right?
Yeah, City of Brass, Pain Lands, Reflecting Pool, Gemstone Mine.
Yeah.
Those are probably the
I
most
have like
common.
one of those, all of those now. So I have, yeah. So, I already have a City of Brass. I have one of all of those. I figured I'd get a little black, blue, black, green with this tainted wood and tainted isle.
They're so cheap. I want to play them and see. In a two-color deck,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'll find that
Or
they're
even a
not
three-color deck.
they're less than ideal, but in a two-color deck, I mean, I think they'd be pretty good. And they're what were they like? It's 50 cents a piece or something.
They're a couple bucks.
Oh, okay.
They're a
Couldn't
couple bucks.
remember.
I also got a Llanowar Wastes from Apocalypse.
Hmm.
Those are more expensive. So I actually bought a lightly played one so that I could get it for not
I
$20.
was gonna say, yeah, they were approaching $20.
Um, and I don't know if that was the one. I saw a card today while I was shopping that looked like there were not too many copies like left online at the moment.
I had a Llanowar Waste just sitting in my shopping cart, and now it's gone from my shopping cart because somebody bought it.
Yeah, it was Llanowar Wastes. There is one for sale from like a brand new seller, and then there's one for sale for $19 from a reputable seller, and that's it.
I should have
For
bought the $17 one that was
the
sitting in my shopping cart that somebody else just bought yesterday.
people are charging like $200 for a foil one.
Foil prices are wild,
Lightly played are about $10.
wild.
There's plenty of lightly played ones, but yeah, foil prices are, it's weird. It makes me, it's one thing that I forget, I guess, when we're talking about like how ridiculous sealed prices are. And some of these sets where foil cards are available,
Yeah,
that's going to drive up the expected value of the packs a little bit.
that's how people in pre-modern bling out their decks. They have like all foil
Yeah,
decks. So like every two,
rainbow.
it turns $3 cards into $40 cards,
Yeah.
like $3 commons into $40 cards. It's wild. I don't quite get it yet. I don't think I'm ever
I
gonna
just
get
don't
it.
like how they look. I think
I
they
don't
look
I don't like the way they
gaudy.
look either.
Every
Yeah.
once in a while, I see one that kind of works, like you mentioned last week, and but usually, meh.
Yeah, most of them.
The Croesus is. Oh, sorry.
You mentioned that correction to last week. I can't remember exactly what we said, but I said I remembered that guy's. I think you said you remembered his art from Mirage Block or reminded you of Mirage Block in some way. You might not have even said Mirage Block. You might have said one of the sets before or after it. And I said, "Oh yeah, I love his art in Mirage." He did not illustrate anything in Mirage, I don't think.
Oh,
If he did, I actually wasn't having those weren't the cards I had in mind. He illustrated plenty of cards that I remember in Visions and Alliances.
okay.
So in the sets before and the sets after. Correction to last week. Richard Kane Ferguson, I think that's who we're talking about.
Okay. And that's I made the total bonehead call we talked about with Arborea a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the value you get with old man magic here. We are
We don't know
not
what's going on.
admitting our mistakes. We tell it to you straight here.
We make horrible financial decisions. We don't understand the market, and we can't even remember how to play the game.
Yeah.
That's why
So,
people listen to
you
this
don't
show.
have to worry about us trying to, trick you or hustle you or snooker you or something like that.
Yeah, you're all smarter than us.
Yeah, yeah. You're safe here with us.
We're not going to be fooling anybody. Lifeblood. I'm looking at the list of legendary cards, and I'm wondering if Lifeblood's come
Lifeblood.
down at all since that buyout. Doesn't look like it has really.
Yeah, because it went up for
Still
sure.
$60.
It's $60 still. Wow.
That was somebody just buying a bunch of them.
Yeah. It shot up real fast. Power leech that happened to more than once, and it's happened to now again.
We're gonna talk about that later.
Sorry, yeah, I will talk about that. Haunting wind. There's a lot of examples. But
Haunting Wind was that's Antiquities too, right?
yeah, I'm very mad
Same.
about that because I had really had my eye on that card
Same person, by the way.
Fun mostly just because I
Yeah.
like the art, and I was like, I could play this in, this makes sense with, in a commander game and artifacts, and apparently someone else thought the same thing and
Yeah.
bought a bunch.
I believe this is the same person.
Oh, really? God.
No, I think it's this one. Yeah. I think it's the Power Leech person too.
Crud. Do you want to hear about anything else about a few other things? Nothing exciting. Croesus's Catacombs, because I have the other lands of that set, but I was still missing that one.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay. Oh, we talked about it before a little bit. That's in
I forget things.
uh
Oh,
it's
okay.
lair type land. When it comes
Oh,
into
yeah.
play, you have to return a non-lair land to your hand, and you can tap it for one of any three colors of mana.
Yeah.
Blue or red. Yeah.
Croesus, the what's his face?
Yeah, the
The
Purger.
Purger.
Yeah. But I like these. I think they're cool. If nothing else, just as like an art set, like the five of them.
Sacrificing unless you return a non-layer land you control.
Yeah.
So are there times I'm trying to think?
Mine to your
Yeah,
hand.
I was gonna try to come up with a list of lands you would want to return to your hand, and Gemstone Mine was the first one that popped into my head. Gemstone Mine's also a land that you're going to want to run in a deck that has at least
three colors.
Requirements for 3 different mana types. So be good
they're
to
just a couple bucks. So
have in the same deck as a layer.
I got Crypt Angels, which I think you mentioned to me before. Maybe they're an invasion angel in black.
I think I like this angel.
It's a cool card. It's 3/3 flying, protection from white, and you can return a red or blue creature from your graveyard to your hand when you summon it. So that's pretty cool. It's fun. I'll put it in some kind of black white angel deck, something like that.
I do want to make a black angel deck at some point. There's a couple other cool black angels that I saw recently. Yeah, I like that one.
And then
it's cheap. It's $1.
It was just 2 weeks ago, I think, that we talked about it, but Soldevi Excavations has come back down in price. Maybe because it was only one goofy
dude
buying it.
One dude trying to buy it.
Came back down to like $70, and I grabbed one today.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So I have the excavations. I don't have to worry.
What was it? Wasn't it like $30 briefly?
Yeah, it went up yeah.
Yeah, $35
overnight, and I was mad. But I'll get in on that.
Reserve list land with an interesting ability, unique ability.
Yeah. I want to buy more cards. I'm trying not to.
Illustrated by Elizabeth Danforth, billionaire philanthropist from the St. Louis area. Gave a lot of money to
Is it true?
Place I used to work. Yeah.
Really?
I'm sure it's not the same Liz Danforth. I'm sure it's a different Liz Danforth. Probably not from the billionaire Danforth family. This is probably a starving artist Danforth.
Well, yeah, that's just a few cards I picked up. I want to get a few lands, and I saw one or two of those cards for cheap. There's a few more I want to buy, but I don't know. Trying to slow it down for a minute.
I might be wrong about the first name of the wealthy Danforth. No, I'm not. Elizabeth Danforth. Former first lady of the university I used to work at. Look at that. But Liz Danforth, illustrator, Elizabeth T. Danforth, has a Wikipedia page. I'm always interested to see what else these artists that work for Magic have done outside of the Magic world. She's an anthropologist, BA anthropology from Aristotle. This is the segment of the show where we read the Wikipedias of Magic the Gathering artists.
Hey, that's okay. I'm interested in that too. Like you said, it's when I was younger, I noticed the art, and I noticed oh, this is that same artist really, but I didn't know much beyond that. And we didn't really have good enough internet resources to find out information about these people yet.
She worked for Flying Buffalo Game Company. She had a magazine called Sorcerer's Apprentice from 1978 to 1983. Freelance artist in the fantasy and science fiction genres.
Oh, sweet.
Working for Wizards of the Coast, TSR, a bunch of others that I haven't heard of, Outer Rock, FASA, Iron Crown Enterprises, GDW, and more.
Cool. She probably did some D&D artwork then.
Yeah, probably. Anyways, good job, Liz.
Thanks. Thanks for your art.
Alex and I both bought your card. Okay.
I had to look up pain lands to get a good list of all of them from different sets because I'm not super familiar with them. I know you've been looking at them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to get your opinion on what they would call the threshold pain lands from Odyssey. Have you looked at these?
No.
Okay, so the probably the best one.
I always forget what threshold is. Threshold, I see it on different cards. Is it in general like you have to have a certain number of cards in your graveyard or something,
Yeah,
and then there's
yeah.
a threshold of okay.
I don't know if it's always the same, but it seems like it's 7 cards are in your graveyard.
Hmm.
So sorry, okay, hold on a second.
I haven't
So
seen these ones at all.
the one Cephalid Coliseum,
Oh,
you tap it for a blue and it deals a damage to you. Okay.
I have seen that name. Never paid attention to it. You know what? Do these have a lot of words in the text box?
They do have words.
So this is why I've seen all these and then immediately forgot what they did.
So
I'm a simple man.
it's like it's like a 1 color city of brass. Like
Mhm.
that part isn't anything special. You can tap it for a blue and take a damage if you want. But if you have 7 cards in your graveyard, threshold, you can pay a blue and sacrifice it to draw 3 cards and then discard 3 cards from your hand.
Mhm.
Um, so it's kind of like a dual purpose card. It has a
Yeah.
card draw ability, and you can get mana from it. It's
I'm
not
guessing
uh,
I'm guessing they're not all card draw ability. This is the blue one. There's probably a red one that does like
yeah,
damage or something.
correct. Yes.
Okay. Probably a black one
Green
that
works
brings
like a
something from your
giant growth.
graveyard.
The red works like a 2 damage, uh, like bolt. The black is a -2/-2 counter, and the white gains you 4 life.
The
So,
red one seems like it'd be interesting for burn decks. I wonder if people ever run those in burn decks.
uh-huh.
Well, it does 2 damage, so you 2 on the ground. That's a fire blast basically, without having to put a fire blast in your deck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Fire blast, you sack 2 mountains, do 4 damage without paying the cost. If you can sack 2 of those, do 4 damage.
yeah. I agree. I think I'm not sure. Yeah, it seems like they have a use
I'm
a
not
little,
sure either.
but yeah, I don't know.
It's the kind of thing where I feel like I have to play it, see how it did for me.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think they're worth very much.
Probably not. An Odyssey land with a
Odyssey version.
drawback.
The cephalid one is like, it looks like it's about $8. So they're a couple bucks. At least that one.
There's nothing in Odyssey that's even $50 from what I'm seeing right now on MTG Stuck. The most expensive card in Odyssey is Entomb.
Entomb.
Search your library for a card, put that card in the graveyard, then shuffle your library.
Yeah, this barbarian ring is cheap. It's just like $1. It was printed in a premium deck series, Fire and Lightning.
This is the red Odyssey land. What do they call them? I guess it's a red like single color pain lands or
I was
something.
looking on
I wonder if there's a name for them. Threshold lands, maybe.
threshold pain lands. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if you could tap it for like the colorless without taking the damage too.
That would be ideal.
That would make it like a little bit better, and I don't think it would make it broken or anything like that.
No. I don't know.
So
maybe too powerful.
I don't know.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, I would like to try those out. Somebody try to buy out of Barbarian Ring, it looked like.
Really?
It quadrupled in price. Well, it doubled in price very quickly over the course of a couple months, from $1 to $2. And now it's back to $1. So
that might have just been like broad use of it. You know what I mean?
you ever wanted to get in now, Alex?
Yeah.
Now's a good time. It's dropped
Yeah.
from $2 to $1.
Yeah, all right.
I actually might get a couple of those Barbarian Rings. That's probably the one that I'd be most likely to run.
Yeah, the red or the blue one. The black one, I don't like the black one really. I think it kind of sucks.
What's that
Uh,
called? Do you know?
gives oh I lost it now. It gives something -2/-2.
Eh, yeah, that's not great.
It's called
I mean, you get to kill a creature of theirs,
yeah.
a small creature, knock
It's
a
called
knock a bird out of the
Cabal
air or
Pit.
something. Cabal pit. You know what?
Kind
I
of
think
cool picture. I don't. I like the picture.
I may. Oh no, I don't think I've ever seen this. It looks like a UFO.
Yeah, I don't get what the like
Is
light
it a
thing above him
UFO?
is, like the
Yeah,
chandelier.
it's a UFO beaming somebody up into space.
It's the whole rest of the pit is all like grim, and then there's like
Yeah,
a shiny
barren,
chandelier thing. So
deserted,
yeah,
and then you have alien catching somebody in their tractor beam.
the white one is terrible.
The white
It
one is always
gains you
terrible.
4 life. The white
Why
one
did
is always
why
terrible.
do they do? Why do they
Not
do that?
always. How about what's the in like Urza Saga? It's Sarah.
Jodoron Outpost is not
Yeah,
terrible.
and the Sarah's land in Urza Saga. It's
Yeah, definitely not terrible.
$200. So there's a few ones, but yeah,
Yeah.
I take your point. A lot of times the white one is terrible. And I don't like with the Cabal Pit, like, yeah, -2/-2, it's good because you can maybe get around regeneration or something like that. Um, but for the most part, I feel like the green one is gonna be better almost all the time because it's +3/+3 to something.
Yeah. And actually now I'm saying, oh, you can use Cabal Pit to like take out one of their creatures, but most of the creatures you're going to be able to take out with a -2/-2 counter are going to be creatures that your opponent's going to play early in the game and try to hit you with quick or try to make quick mana with. And you won't even be able to get rid of them early in the game because you can't use this ability until you have at least 7 cards in your graveyard.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't.
Plus, you don't want to sacrifice your land early in the game either.
Well, that's the other
You
thing.
need some mana if you
Yeah,
early in the game. At most, I'd want like one of these in my deck. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to be
yeah,
tripping over this card.
yeah. I don't love this one.
Uh,
Anywho, want to get into some of the MTG news from this week? I don't know. Do you have any MTG news? I have some news.
yeah,
Not a lot.
I had some, but I don't think I have it. I don't know if I wrote it down properly. So go ahead.
Okay, I'll go. So my news is related to Dominar United. There were more spoilers that came out. I think the whole set might now be
Oh, okay.
revealed. I think
I have not checked on that again
I'm
since.
not positive about that, but one of the things that I saw, picked this up on Twitter. There was a Karn alert. Karn alert. Major Karn alert. Like that. So people were very fired up about this Karn, at least at the beginning. I don't know, maybe after people have had a week or so to digest it, yeah, settle down a little bit. Maybe their takes aren't quite as spicy. But there was a new Karn released. I know this is modern Magic, but this one caught my eye because I just recently learned about the old Karn and pre-modern Karn Silver Golem. The new Karn is Karn Living Legacy. It's a Planeswalker. And I'm going to pull up. Apparently, there have been a lot of Karns. So the only Karn that I was familiar with, like I said, is Karn Silver Golem from, I think, Urza's Saga. And I'm looking up all the Karns on Scryfall. This is the point of the podcast where I try to remember how to share my screen. There we go. This big button right here that says share screen. Here we go. Pulling up the Karns on Scryfall. Can you see the Karns, Alex?
Ah, yes, thank you.
So there are
Karns.
a lot of Karns.
And some Karn cards.
And some Karn cards. He has different things. I think people might be excited about this Karn Silex, which is also being released. Dominar United.
Okay.
I think it's kind of like in the Venreal's disc type thing. But all the Karns except for the original Karn were Planeswalkers. And I think maybe I don't have a reference for Planeswalkers since Planeswalkers are totally new to me. So I think what might be getting people like worked up is the fact that they don't feel like the new Karn is powerful enough for a planeswalker.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know much either, but when I look at him, he seems underwhelming. Unless there's some way to break him or combo I it doesn't because I've seen some. I don't know much about planeswalkers, but I've seen
yeah,
some look crazy powerful.
yeah.
And
I was just looking at him like a creature, and he seemed cool to me. I'm like, oh, he can make mana. Anytime I see something that makes mana, I think that's awesome. But yeah, I don't have framework for Planeswalker. And here's some of the takes that I saw on my Twitter feed about the new Karn Living Legacy.
Sorry.
Seems pretty awful. I may be wrong, but 4-mana walker that ramps 1 mana next turn after it is played, and minus ability, which makes you use mana to dig. I just don't see anything good in this Karn, to be honest. Well, I mean, I like the fact that he creates mana. I think that's always a good thing. Another person said, I will literally never see, it will literally never see play in a real deck in Legacy, Modern, Pioneer, or Standard. So yes, it's bad even for Commander. This is really not a good card. People are fired up about the Karn. This seems incredibly bad. Like one of the all-time worst Planewalkers ever printed bad. Again, this is, I don't have a frame of reference for Planeswalkers. The more I think about Karn Living Legacy, the more I become convinced it's one of the worst Planewalkers of all time. Bottom 5, maybe bottom 3. So a lot of them complained about, they didn't just say bad card. They did specify terrible Planeswalker. Maybe he is terrible for a Planeswalker. I started looking up the other Karns. This is why I pulled up Scryfall. I think what I've learned about Planeswalker is this last ability they call the ultimate ability. I think where this new guy's really weak, the new Karn, where he's really weak is with his ultimate ability. For his ultimate ability, by his, I mean Karn Living Legacy, you get an emblem with tap and untapped artifact you control. This emblem deals 1 damage to any target.
That seems very underwhelming.
That seems terrible to me.
Unless there's something about I don't know much about emblems, so maybe there's some way you can make that better.
I don't know what an emblem is either. I just see tap and untapped artifacts deal 1 damage to any target. And that's his ultimate ability. I was looking at he creates mana rocks. That seemed pretty cool to me. But this does seem terrible, especially when you compare him to Karn Liberated, who has a crazy ultimate ability, which costs more, but it's restart the game. Leaving in exile all non-aura permanent cards exiled with Karn Liberated, then put those cards onto the battlefield under your control. So I don't understand the whole non-aura thing, or, that's something I haven't gotten into yet. I'm not that advanced into the earlier Magic sets. I don't remember anything aura related in the older sets that we played with, but whatever aura is, this guy, Karn Liberated, lets you restart the game and at least take some of your cards from your opponent and put them under your control.
Isn't aura just like a word for enchantment?
Is it an enchantment? Maybe. So if you do that, exile all non-aura target.
It's an enchantment that enchants. Is an enchantment type that has the text enchant object or player.
Okay. So basically, Karn Liberated lets you restart the game and then take all of your opponent's cards. Because how many of them are going to be enchanted? Probably not many. Unless you're playing against an Enchantress deck or something. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Karn, Scion of Urza, his ultimate ability is create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token. With this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control.
Yeah.
So this is most similar to the original Karn, where you can play a colorless and essentially animate an artifact. Target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power and toughness, each equal to its converted mana cost until end of turn. That's this Karn Scion of Urza seems to have a better ultimate effect.
And it's only 2,
only 2. Yeah, it's not very costly. What I did notice is sometimes Karn appears to be a golem who sometimes wears pants and sometimes does not wear pants. And what I've noticed is you can tell how powerful the Karn is going to be based on whether or not he has his dick out. So Karn Silver Golem, no pants. He was very powerful when he came out. Karn Scion Aversa wearing pants. Not pants. He just has it, but he has a dick covered. I don't know what this kind of thing is called, Alex. What is this? Do you know what this is? Like a waistband and a thing that hangs over the dick?
Kind of like a, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you call it. It's kind of like a loincloth, but I'm
Okay,
sure
yeah.
there's a different name for it.
It kind of is a loincloth with a dangly bits. So not one of the most powerful planeswalkers. Now, from there, that was in 2018. 2020, you go to Karn Liberated, he got his dick out again. This is the one where you can restart the game and take all of your opponent's cards. Now, when they reprinted Karn in 2020, they made him cover his dick, and now he's weak. So
It's an interesting observation.
it's a pattern that I noticed.
I don't
think
know,
this
the Karn Scion Aversa, though, he might be pretty good. What's his casting cost? I can't see.
4.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he might be. I don't know how someone has ranked these and like could tell us we're way out of our
I mean,
element.
he's pretty good, but I don't know that he's better than Karn Silver Golem, the original.
Oh, okay. That's what you're saying.
I miss this guy, Karn the Great Creator.
Oh.
4 casting cost. Activated abilities of artifacts your opponents control can't be activated. So basically, he's a null rod.
Snap.
Null rod. +1 until your next turn, up to 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power and toughness, each equal to its converted mana cost. So he has the ability of the original Karn. -2, ultimate effect. You may choose an artifact card you own from outside the game or in exile, reveal that card, and put it into your hand. Awesome, right? Karn the Great Creator.
Seems like it to me.
Alex, is he wearing pants?
Again, my frame of reference though
is he wearing pants?
He is not wearing
No.
pants.
So there you go. I don't know if the artists are doing this on purpose. This is a level of analysis you probably won't find another Magic the Gathering podcast. I've never heard anybody else bring this up, but it was something that I noticed when I was browsing the Karns.
Well, I'm glad you were on the case in this instance.
So that's really all I have to say about Dominar United. I didn't really pay attention to a lot of the other cards that they released. When I was looking through this set, I was really looking for the, the Legends Retold, and then Karn, of course, caught my eye because I'm familiar with him from Urza's. That's my news for the week. New Karn. New Karn alert.
Excellent.
Curious to see if we'll actually get some play or not. But I saw these angry takes on Twitter, and I looked at the card. I'm like, I don't understand what these people are talking about. But then when you do compare him to the other Karn Planeswalkers that were just printed like last year or 2 years earlier, he does seem pretty weak. It's the mana ability that caught my eye at first and made me think he was pretty good. But now when I learn about the ultimate abilities and compare his ultimate abilities to the other ultimate abilities, it's like, yeah, I don't know if I'd play this guy.
I'm wondering, since I don't know exactly how Planeswalkers, I've looked it up before and I'm trying to find now, but the way the loyalty counters work on Planeswalkers, can you only use one of those each turn? Like those abilities?
I don't know. I haven't learned about Planeswalkers yet. I know they have an ultimate ability.
Yeah.
I know that when I was first looking at him, I was like, what is 6? Does that mean he's 6'6"? No, stupid. They don't actually have power and toughness, right? They don't attack or anything. They just sit there and you use their abilities.
Yeah, but those counters, those loyalty counters, like they sort of if the Planeswalker gets attacked, they get subtracted from its, total number.
That's right, because you can attack them directly.
It behaves like toughness for them to some extent.
That is true. Yeah, okay. They can't attack though, right? But they can be attacked. Is that how it works?
Yes.
Okay.
As far as I know.
We could be spreading misinformation.
I think we're shallow enough here that we're okay. We're not in murky water yet.
We're gonna have to do a correction at the beginning of the next podcast.
Yeah, probably every time.
At some point, we're having an episode on Planeswalkers because I want to learn about Planeswalkers, but they did not appear in any old frame formats, though, right? No, they
Okay, wait,
didn't.
hold on. I think I found it. Sorry, what was your question?
I answered my question. They didn't appear in any old frame formats. Planeswalkers. They were post. They
Yeah.
didn't. They're
One of the reasons why old format is superior.
Yeah.
Okay. A player may activate a loyalty ability of a permanent they control anytime they have priority and the stack is empty during a main phase of their turn, but only if none of that permanent's loyalty abilities have been activated that turn. So it
So
looks like
only one.
you can only use it once per turn, I think, and only on your turn, I think. So yeah, because you have to build. Otherwise, you'd be able to put that card down and you'd be like,
Yeah.
I do the +1, +1, +1, +1,
Yeah.
and then I do the -7, like,
Yeah.
or the -14 or whatever. You'd be able to do it instantly. In any case, yeah, he seems underwhelming to me. Karn Living Legacy. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
he kind
what
of
they're
is. I
trying to
didn't
do.
understand the comments at first, but
Um,
no, I kind of agree.
um,
What was on
I
Alex?
don't know if they're trying to encourage you to just use him in that zone with like the first two loyalty counter abilities where you're like using those two and not worrying about the ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're trying to like, make him, more playable in that like, +1, -1 back and forth zone. But even that doesn't seem too great. And he's creating mana tokens for you, but you have to have four ready to get him out.
Yeah.
Not to say they won't still be helpful, but like, and if you can only get one out per turn with him, I mean, it's going to be a few turns.
Tokens stick around though, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, they don't disappear.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't how many I guess I don't understand. I don't really have any frame of reference for how many turns games usually last in Commander.
Yeah. I think these days most games are Commander might be totally different. Yeah, I don't know.
You could play an Ancient Tomb first turn. No, forget that. You could just Dark Ritual second turn, get Karn Living Legacy out second turn, and then just be making an extra mana rock every single turn.
Okay, so emblems are basically they they don't have any type and they're not a permanent. Nothing can target them. Um, they're placed in the command zone. And you may have the same emblem multiple times. So, I don't see anything there that, makes that emblem that acts like a Tim, basically, like
Yeah.
would be really, really sweet.
A
I mean, it's invincible, basically. You can't get rid of it, but like it can still only do one damage.
Yeah. And you can untap your artifact. Emblems. I've never seen the word emblem on a magic card until this guy. I wonder when those appeared.
Yeah, I've seen them around a few times. I'm like, what is that?
It's a thing that sits in the command zone
Some
and does a thing. Let's move on to our MTG finance segment for the week.
Okay.
MTG market moves.
We started a little bit, and flows in and out of what we're talking about, of course.
So the most interesting market move, at least interesting to me, that I noticed this week, it was one of the weekly winners on MTG stocks, Zuberi Golden Feather.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned this recently, right?
I very well might have if we were talking about Griffins.
It was
I
in the
don't think
context.
I got
we
my
talked
act
about
together to buy one.
we talked about Griffin Canyon. That's what it was. And Griffin
Oh,
Canyon
okay.
has also risen with Zuberi Goldfeather, but
But I
Zuberi
was looking.
Goldfeather
I wanted
has
Griffin.
doubled in price in a week. So people are buying Zuberi Goldfeathers like crazy.
Yeah, there's a big Griffin. There's some Griffin commotion right now.
Yeah. So, you know, I wonder how much of this is just a couple people doing buyouts, how much of it is general rise in interest due to cards in the new set. This is probably a
Yeah,
mix of
I think
both.
it's sort of like speculation like that, like
Yeah.
a fair amount of people doing small speculation, I would guess.
According to MTG stocks, the spike has to do with the spoiling of Zerium Golden Wind and Commander Dominaria United. Oh my god, look at the art on Zerium Golden Wind,
I
Alex.
see him.
I hate that.
I hate that.
Not to disparage the artist.
We're all have
But
different opinions.
yeah, I just think that looks terrible. Don't even know what that is. Also, the image I am looking at is a little bit blurry, so maybe it looks
Yeah, I'm
much
gonna
better in
pull
a
up
high
bigger
def.
one.
But I don't know about this artwork for Zerium Golden Wind. This is a
I mean,
griffin that will get you more griffin.
it's okay. I like how big he is, and I like his big, cool horns and like beak mouth. But
Why does he have horns like a ram? That's one of the things that bothers me, actually. And he sort of looks like he's made out of wood.
I
So
was
these are
gonna
two
say he
things
looks
that
very
bother
like
me about Zerium
kind
Golden
of
Wind.
weirdly fluffy. He does look kind of he looks
Yeah.
kind of like a fluffy teddy bear.
He looks like, okay, this is what he looks like. He looks like somebody carved a griffin out of wood, put ram horns on his head, and then took wool from a sheep and scattered it across half of his body. And then you have
Yeah,
Zerium Golden
yeah,
Wind.
yeah. That's the recipe.
Three colorless, one white, 3/4 flying. Whenever a griffin you control deals combat damage to a player, create a 2/2 white griffin creature token with flying. So that could be pretty darn good in a griffin deck.
That's
I
sweet.
have never seen,
I
I
like
have
it.
not seen griffin decks anywhere yet. I have not seen them pick up. I see
Yeah,
people building goblin decks, of course. Those have been around forever.
I think they're yeah,
Zombie
they're
decks,
people
elf
consider them
decks.
not super strong. Yeah, like there's just like you know not enough good Griffin cards, and
But you know, so far I haven't
there's
really
some
looked.
though. It looks fun. Sorry.
I haven't looked at the newest sets. I'm thinking in the old school, there's of course no griffin. In pre-modern, griffins started to just appear. So Griffin Canyon is pre-modern legal. It's in Visions, Zuberi, pre-modern legal, Mirage. There are a couple other
Yeah,
Griffin cards
they
too,
started in there.
but I don't know how many there are post Visions that you could really build a good tribal deck out of. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Something I have to think about. But yeah, Zuberi Goldfeather doubled. Griffin Canyon has almost doubled. What's it up? 60%, 70%. So maybe not almost double, but quite a big spike. We'll see where those cards go. Those are the spikes that I've noticed. Other market moves is people are pumping reserve list antiquities uncommons. So which ones did I see?
Lasai.
Which ones did I see here? All the reserve, all the shitty, all of the terrible, unplayable antiquities uncommons, Alex, that you've never wanted to play with for the past 20 years, but now you want. Power
Should I
Leech.
say it or should you? Power Leech. It's okay.
Power Leech was the biggest one. This is kind of an ongoing thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a $5 card for a long time, for several years
And
prior
then
to
it
mid
got hit a little
2022.
bit pandemic, like most things, and
Yeah,
then since then, with with the everything involving treasure tokens, like we've mentioned before, Power Leech, Haunted Wind got pumped up really hard. People
Power
expect
Leech MTG stocks for Power Leech is saying 41.53 right now, but there was like a new buyout that happened on this just within the last few days, and MTG stocks hasn't even actually updated to take that into account.
uh-huh.
When I looked at Power Leech, I think it was yesterday. Oh, I have it right here. Yesterday there were only like 2 near mint copies for $300. This is just stupid. Now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One for, so this seller who has their near mint Power Leech posted for $549.98. If this isn't a typo, You're just an asshole.
Is people trying they want to try to pump the market value up of the card, I guess,
But this is just absurd. $549.98.
Well,
This person right here had several. $300.
they just want that number to get averaged in, you know what I mean?
Gambit MTG 199.99 and a couple others who just posted. Like I didn't see these. UWU boys, 4 sales. A near mint power leech, $119. This is somebody who just posted it the other day. These weren't here the other day. Let's look at the light plays. When this crazy spike started, I also saw one person in particular too post like 5 copies lightly played for $200. See this person? This is somebody taking advantage of these spikes. So potentially these people just have some algorithm in place. So like if all the LPs and the near mints disappear, they might have something in place that just automatically bumps up their prices. They might not actually be involved in manually adjusting these prices.
Mm-hmm.
But perhaps they also just browse MTG finance on Reddit, see what people are trying to pump and dump, and they try to join the dump.
Targeted speculations, yeah.
But this is crazy. There's no way power leeches stay this high. $200, $300.
No, it'll be back down. It'll
a
be back
near
down.
mint, $200 for a light play. Come on, people. What are we doing? What are we doing with the power leeches? Nobody even wants to play the power leech. You've never wanted to play the power leech. Also, this is one particular person on Reddit who's been doing this with several uncommon reserve list cards and antiquities. And once a month, he picks a new one, and then he makes a post on Reddit being like, oh my God, guys, look at this one jumping up. Look at that. You might want to get yours. Hurry up and get yours now. So it seems kind of crazy to me. What was there other than Power Leech? There were a couple others. Power Leech was one. So yeah, MTG stocks is still saying $40, but if you wanted to get a near mint one on TCG Player right now, you can't actually find them for under 100. We'll see. We'll see how long it takes for reasonably priced ones to appear. Although I don't even know what a reasonably priced Power Leech would be. Like for me, it would still be like $5. But obviously, it hasn't been $5 for a couple years now since everything started going crazy in 2020.
This card has essentially zero functional value, in my opinion.
This is what I saw. So list and sell your power leeches now. Buyout occurred yesterday. This was 3 days ago. This was posted. So obviously somebody's doing a buyout on TCG Player, taking all the near mint, taking all the light play copies. Which really on TCG Player, Power Leech, if you were to look at the number of near mint copies, how many are even there on TCG Player for an Antiquities Uncommon? Usually not that many. I don't know, what, like 10 in near mint? But how many really exist? How many are out there that people just haven't posted on TCG Player because they didn't want to go through the effort of getting rid of it for $10? This is the whole thing we've talked about before with these buyouts. How long do they take to settle? And what's the new equilibrium that's reached?
Well,
where does the price sell out again?
Phyrexian Tribute a few weeks ago and how we thought that was a dumb thing for people to be, jumping on. And it's dropped down in price now like 2 or 3 weeks in a row. It's falling back down.
That's interesting. I'll pull up that one because actually if you go through this thread on MTG Finance, list and sell your power leeches now, buyout occurred yesterday. Somebody makes reference to a particular Redditor and says they named the person that they think is doing this. They say this is his MO. He's been doing it for several months with different cards. And when I looked through this person's post history, he seemed to be the person who was doing it with the card that you just mentioned, which was what?
Right.
Phyrexian something?
Oh yeah, for Phyrexian Tribute.
Phyrexian Tribute.
For Mirage.
Oh, I'm wrong.
Oh.
That's not that person. Because this was another this Phyrexian Tribute chart is ridiculous. This was another Antiquities card. Which actually you had mentioned, I thought, one week.
Haunting Wind, where we were talking about
Haunting Wind. That sounds right. Haunting Wind. A stack of Haunting Winds was in this person's post history, as was Mightstone and Sentinel Druid. So the same thing is happening to all these cards. And I think it's the same person buying all these cards and then making posts about them on Reddit.
And even if it's not, I mean, if it's just a couple people like that are all doing this dumbly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could be him and his buddies. But what I'm getting at is I don't think this is like a real massive increase in market interest. The market for Magic the Gathering cards, especially the early sets, is so strange because it seems to be so easy to manipulate, at least on a short-term basis.
Yeah, for the short term, because there's just not too many cards for sale in the online marketplace at one time.
But if you're just an individual and you're not a card shop owner, like I said before, I don't really know what your end game is for moving these cards. How much profit you're really going to be able to make.
Yeah, I think they're unrealistically expecting that once the price goes up, that they will be able to then like every few days sell one of them at that price.
Yeah,
and
I don't know how liquid the market's going to be for Power Leech or Haunting Wind.
Yeah, because they don't realize that they're gonna post those cards and they're just gonna sit there, or they'll only sell one every couple weeks. Then the price will go down. They won't be able to sell it at that price anymore. They'll have to drop a few bucks, and then et cetera over time.
I would love to see somebody like Alpha Hoarder make a video where they not only do a buyout. So he did that buyout of that Antiquities card that I talked about one time. Ashnod's Transmogrant, something along those lines. But he's a hoarder. And he talked about what he was doing and why he was doing it in a video he made. He wanted to see what the price action would be like if somebody were to try a buyout on a non-reserve list Antiquities card. And he had a whole spreadsheet listing all the different cards that he bought, when he made the purchase, what the price was, and he tracked how the price increased over time as he was buying and buying. Then he waited a little bit afterwards to see where it eventually settled at, if it returned to its original price, if it didn't, where the new equilibrium was, how many cards he needed to buy in order to spike the price a certain percentage. But now they're just sitting in his hoard.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see somebody make a similar video
all about the selling process, the liquidation.
All about the pump and dump.
Yeah.
And how much money they were able to actually make.
Yeah.
How much time and effort it took them to make that money.
How much the price changed during the course of them selling.
As they were selling,
started to go down. And
because I look at what some of these people are doing with these cards, and I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be worth it. Based on what else you could have done with your time and what else you could have done.
What I wonder about,
but I really don't know.
Changing topic a little bit, if that's okay. When I look at the MTG interests, like the weekly movers, see what things have been, having they post things that have had the most like shift.
Yeah, that's where I found the Griffin.
I see some of the same cards over and over and over again, and with certain cards, it's pretty explainable. Like, for example, like very high value cards, a lot of the time they're on there because they're sold so rarely that anytime one is sold, that amount of data affects the average. So I understand it when it's something like that, when it's like Tabernacle went down 10% or up 10% this week. I'm like, well, it didn't really, it's just there, but there's a few that I see all the time in here. Colossus of Sardia, for example, is a card that I see always on this list.
This is an Antiquities card, right? Okay.
It is.
Okay, we're back after a blue screen of death. Took out my computer.
Difficulties.
We'll see.
Sorry.
I said we'll see if we have first half of the podcast or not to convert and splice with this. I hope we do.
Yeah, otherwise we'll just be talking about something totally random.
Yeah.
Which was actually Colossus of Sardia.
Colossus of
I was
Sardia.
asking, I was asking why, if you look at specifically the MTG stocks interest page that show like the weekly movers and daily movers, um, some cards come up over and over and over again. And uh, I briefly mentioned that the sometimes it's the high value cards, and it makes sense with them because there's so few being sold. So sometimes, like just one being sold at a different condition can change, the average of they have a small amount of data. So I forgetting that for the moment. Certain other cards just seem to always be on there, moving up and down. We've talked about uh, the Argivian archaeologist because that's been a buyout target, for
Mm-hmm.
example. But I've seen that always on this list, moving up and down every week. Colossus of Sardia was one that I just mentioned. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure
The
why
the
people are buying.
archaeologist, I bring
Uh,
this up when you mention the archaeologist. I feel like I brought it up every time, but it's probably not a coincidence that lots of things are happening in the archaeologist market. Uh,
yeah,
when one of the biggest MTG YouTubers is frequently talking about
yes.
the archaeologist. Yeah.
So if it's a target of a buyout frequently, then I understand that. But then, like, what does that mean? I guess what I'm asking partially is, does that mean that Colossus of Sardia is also being targeted as a buyout by some people?
Yeah, this is weird. I'm looking at the chart for this, and it's just been like straight up
Really?
since mid 2020.
Hmm. So maybe then,
It's
maybe
just gone from like
someone out there
$20, just
maybe.
steady buying for a year and a half, 2 years, from $20 to $75.
Yeah,
What a
so
weird
maybe
thing to want
someone's
to
working
buy.
on that. Huh?
What a weird thing to want to buy, just because of what it is, but also because it's not even reserve list.
Yeah.
9 casting cost, 9 trample. Does not untap normally during your untap phase. You can spend 9 to untap it.
It's actually a much better card than it used to be because there are many more ways to untap it now, probably.
Yeah.
Um,
There's also, though, many other huge creatures
or
than
ways
there
to put it
used to
into
be.
play. But yes, you're right. There are also
Yeah.
many other flying huge creatures and things like that.
Yeah.
I feel like this is and if it's you
Weird.
said I don't know about its reprint status. How many times has it been reprinted?
It was reprinted in 4th edition, 5th edition, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
10th edition.
So yeah, this is something
Wild.
someone wants because they think
Love it.
it looks cool in antiquities, or they just
Yeah.
have like a hard on for it, I guess, maybe. Um, so I don't know. That's a
That's a
weird
really
one.
weird one. That's a really weird one.
We'll keep our eyes on that.
Maybe this is Alpha Hoarder.
It might. That's what. Maybe it is. Maybe it is
He
something
bought
like a
Ashnod's Transmogrant.
project on.
When he was talking
Well,
about it in his video, he's like, I picked something that I thought had cool art, but then also wasn't reserve list and that wasn't in like an integral part of a lot of decks because I wasn't really affecting anybody's ability to play the game of Magic because it was a card that like
this
people didn't
actually
want to
happened.
play.
You were saying he said this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's not like a lot of kids are out there dying to play a Colossus of Sardia deck.
No.
It's just this antiquity. Plus, if they want, they can just buy.
A new one. Yeah.
Yeah, the new ones are 45 cents.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like this before, where the original.
Well, maybe though. I think we
They're
have. I
just.
think there are some cards that are expensive just because they're the old version of it,
I mean,
and
the
they're
old
not
version's
even.
usually more expensive, but this is 100-fold difference in the price, more than 100-fold difference in the price. The current market price for the 4th edition Colossus is 32 cents. The current market price for the antiquities is 74 cents. I mean, $74. Sorry.
I knew what you meant. Yeah.
$74.
Hmm.
That's more than 100x.
They're weird.
Look at the price differentials between like revised and unlimited or limited and beta. It's like those differentials aren't even more than 100x.
No.
This
You're
is
right.
like the difference between a revised and is it like bigger than the difference you would see in the price between a typical revised and its beta counterpart? That's crazy, man.
Or the same. I think there are, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there are
Yeah,
some revised cards that are like $1 and the beta ones like several $100s, but
that's crazy. I'm thinking about you think about the
probably,
other things that reprinted in fourth edition or whatever, or even in Chronicles, like the Chronicles City of Brass compared to uh Arabian Nights City of Brass. Not a more than 100-fold difference.
no.
Fourth edition Sylvan Library versus Legends Sylvan Library, not more than 100-fold difference, not even close.
These are all,
Stormseeker, Spirit Link, Kismet.
these are playable cards. Well, you're talking about playable cards mostly, and so maybe that's, I don't know, one of the factors.
This is just
Like if the
weird.
card's really playable, it will
Yeah.
like drive up the lower end price of it, so there might not be as much of a difference.
Yeah,
Like these
it would be
cards,
interesting to learn to see if we ever learn if this is literally just like one
yeah,
person who's just trying to
yeah,
get
yeah,
all of the antiquities
yeah.
clauses.
If a card's being targeted because of like art, for
Yeah,
example, or like just how cool it is, like
yeah,
that might make the difference between that version and a different version very, very great. I
that's
could
funny.
see that, I guess, but I still don't see paying $60 for a Colossus of Sardia.
No, you know what this means? If there's one rich person out there that has decided they need every fucking copy in existence, we need to buy a couple right now
Oh,
because
well, yeah, or at least yeah, try to find some cheap somewhere, and
there will be a point in time where
shoot.
there's just 5 copies left in the world that this
Well, if
person
this
doesn't
dude's
have.
still buying them at $60, he's going to be buying them at $70 too, probably. So you'll at least be able to like
He'll
flip it to
he'll
him.
be buying them to 5,000.
Yeah,
I'll have
that's
the
right.
last copy.
I
I'll have
shouldn't
the
have said
last
just a
copy in the
ten
world. He
dollar
doesn't own.
difference. That sounded dumb, but like,
What were you gonna say?
well, no, I was agreeing with you. um,
$100,000 Colossus of Sardia.
a card I've seen on this list as well now, up and down, always on the list every week, up and down. Thran Tome from Weatherlight.
Oh,
This week it's down 34% from $9 to $5.89.
I should
But,
just buy a couple because I kind of want a couple.
but like last week it was up 35%, the other
Yeah,
way. It's been up and down. I have one from back in the day. Um, I don't know if I really ever want to use this. The activation cost is so great. Uh, and
it
the
is.
summoning
Yeah, I
cost
forgot it
is
was 5.
low. So 9 mana just to get it like running. You'd have to play this in some kind of deck that like reduces the activation or casting cost of artifacts, right? Or some deck that makes that ability like really, really much better than it is. That you have to play with some deck that makes it better.
Yeah, I don't even know what a Thran Tome deck is. What decks
Yeah.
they're running, if
Yeah.
any.
So is someone, but back to the financial aspect of this, like, is someone speculating in this? Because it's always on this list. Someone trying to buy them up?
Maybe
If
because it's had
Taranto's four
this
dollars,
is
it might be worth putting two or three in your pocket.
this is now the second spike in the last year. It's
Yeah.
gone huge spike, back down, huge spike again, back down. It looks like somebody's trying to do something with
If you
Thran
can get
Tome.
this for $5, maybe it's not a bad idea. Is it now? See, this is where our lack of knowledge suffers. I don't always know what's coming out in the newest and upcoming sets. If
I don't understand what could be coming up in a new coming
something
up
like
in a
you get
set that would make Thran
sort
Tome all of a sudden more
of
desirable than it ever was before. You know what I'm saying?
well, no, I'm just wondering about it being reprinted, but
Oh, it's reserve list.
that's what I was starting to
Yeah,
ask
yeah, it is.
mumblingly to myself. Okay, yeah, it is reserve list. Okay, so yeah, this could be something that someone's like, this is reserve list. I'm gonna spec on it hard.
Yeah, not a good spec. Not
Not a good
financial
spec,
advice.
but I mean, unless you're us, getting ready to sell one for $30 to this guy who wants to buy all of them in the world.
Yeah, still. This goes back to my earlier conversation about the specs and the buyouts on these low price cards. I mean,
Yeah, it'll be back down. It's
the
gonna keep.
number you have to move to actually make good money on them, it's a significant number of cards. And are you going to be able to move them without dropping the price down again?
Yeah,
Is it going to be worth all the time
right.
and the capital you put into
That's
it?
why I always say I'm talking about when I mention this, I'm always talking about just buying a couple. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to have to try to move 15 Thran tomes that I invested in. But if I had 3, and they go from back up to $15 or $20,
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, I'll trade those or dump them.
I don't even want to do that either, though.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, trade them would maybe trade them. Maybe
I'm trying
find
to
like
get
a
people to trade them.
shop, a reputable shop that has a buy list.
Yeah,
You could trade it in for like 3 times what you bought it for, and then get something that you actually have wanted to have that
yeah,
hasn't actually gone up in price because nobody's specking on it at that moment.
yeah,
I'd be more interested in doing something like that, just working the trade game.
yeah.
But the buying and then the selling, the shipping and the packaging and the dealing with people, and it's like, I don't have a shop with staff in it. I'm not going to do that bullshit
Yeah.
for $6 profit. Give me a
So
break, Alex. What
there are a few other cards though that I see and I'm not I'm having trouble finding more examples at the moment.
But the
Um,
Colossus was an interesting one, simply for the fact that it wasn't going up and down, up and down. It was just like a steady. People just been
yeah.
steady buying it for 2 years.
No, but it does. I mean, on the weekly level or the daily level on the
Yeah,
internet,
that's true. Okay.
it does go up and down. It's just, over
Looking at the
time.
long-term chart, it looks like
Yeah.
just straight up.
Yeah. So I wonder, I'm gonna have to start
A
checking
lot
some
of
of these
buying
that I've
pressure.
noticed a lot and see how many of them are going steadily up.
It's pretty funny.
Like some of these are more expensive. Like Mirror Universe is on here a lot, but it's an expensive one.
Yeah.
What do you think about the card Gate to Phyrexia? I've wanted to buy one of these for a while, but it's hanging out at around 75 or 80, $90. It was like 90 or 80.
I think
I
you should
think.
buy everything, Alex. I think you should buy whatever it is you want it. I think nothing's ever going to go down.
Quit it. You quit it. You quit it.
I think worst case scenario, you lose half your money on Gate to Phyrexia.
Okay.
I think it's
I
interesting
want to
art.
wait for it to go down, but I do want one.
It's probably going to go down.
I think it'll go down a little
Everything's
bit.
probably going to go down.
People don't want these that much, right? No one wants to have $80 sunk into this because it's situationally playable at best, right?
The chairman of the Federal Reserve gave a speech on Friday where he basically said he's not going to stop raising interest rates. He's going to drive the country into a recession because he needs to drop prices on everything. And he's not going to stop raising interest rates prematurely because that would be even worse for the economy. So I predict drops in Magic the Gathering card prices steady for the next year, not financial advice. Also, I don't know anything.
Good. I hope so.
I think that's what's going to happen.
That's good.
I think the exuberance that drove Magic up post COVID is going to come to an end. I think things will probably settle back down to where they were in 2020. Again, I have no idea what's going to happen. It's just a total guess.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. Hard time, like it's a weird hobby because people will hoard stuff and they'll sit on it. And
Yeah, there's a
even
lot
if
of hoarding. Yeah, there's a
even
lot of
if the
people doing a lot of
economy,
hoarding.
yeah, even if the economy is bad and people are hurting, they still might not dig into their closet for some of this stuff because, like you said, it takes a little bit of effort too to go and sell it. So people might be not doing too great, but they still don't dip into their Magic collection. Some people will need to.
But I think the market's going to soften on a lot of this stuff, like Gate to Phyrexia, where there wasn't huge demand for all these years.
Yeah. And that was the second.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, that's what I was gonna say is that, like, I think the bigger factor is the correction from that spike. I think that's really what will, there was a bubble, and like I think
Yeah.
prices will come down from that no matter what. People will
I
still
think they
sit
will
on
too.
stuff, and some people will not sell it, and
We've already seen it start to happen. It's already started to happen. There was a short little bull run here over the past month or so where stocks were going back up. I think Magic cards are going back up a little bit too. But almost all these things, we look at this chart, we're not at the peak for almost all of these things, except for Colossus of Sardia, because that guy just can't stop buying. But most of this stuff peaked 6 months ago or so. And they've been slowly working their ways down for a lot of it. Especially the stuff that wasn't highly playable. Like the dual lands and things, they're taking longer to drop, but Jovial Evils, your Jovial Evils, your Gates to Phyrexias. I mean, a lot of this stuff is down 25,
and it should
50%.
be. I'm still watching. It's funny you mentioned Jovial Evil because maybe it's because I mentioned it before.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned
it. I just keep having my eye on it because I'm waiting for it to come down. I don't think it should be that much.
There are some things in the dark that I want to drop. We can talk about that later. You said you were going to talk about
we can talk about it now. It's financial. That's pretty much a financial topic.
Okay. Do you want to talk about it now? Or you want to wait for next week?
No, yeah. Let's keep talking about it because I mean,
okay, let's do the dark.
The dark cards are on these weekly lists. I've been seeing them on here a lot recently. A few cards have been targeted for buyouts. One card, for example, actually went down, so I have to look up and down at it.
I'm sharing I'm sharing my screen. You can share your screen, but I'll share my screen, or I can type in the names if you want.
Let me focus for now, and you keep sharing your screen. So Nameless Race is an example of. I'm just talking about the dark, I guess, for context for listeners. I wanted to. I was curious about the overall value in the set, and
this is still close to its peak price.
Specking into and like which cards I don't know. Sorry.
I interrupted you. What were you saying about the dark in general?
I don't know. I got mixed up. I was curious about the dark in general and where the value, how much value there is, where the value is, why.
Okay.
City of Shadows, for example, the most expensive card in the set, has come down recently. And we've mentioned that before. I think it was overinflated. It was definitely a spike target card that people were definitely investing in that, like right there during the pandemic.
Yeah, because it did like nothing for years.
It just jumped.
And then for many years after that, it was $15-20. And I looked at this card after it started going crazy, and I was like, oh, this is better than I realized it was. This is something that I hadn't been paying attention to for a long time. And I think it probably should have some value, and it probably should be one of the most expensive cards in the dark, but it did have quite a rapid rise. It's 6x, 7x in a year. That's probably not sustainable.
No, yeah, that's why I was like, this card is going to come down. I want one, but I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to buy one for $180. And it's down to about 100 now, and I think it'll probably come down a little more.
Is it really down to 100? MTG stock's market price is 158, but
no,
that's not
for sale for I think 105 right now. Or
okay, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and that's pretty recent. It's come down just in the past couple weeks, I think. Some people have been posting some for less money. You mentioned Creature.
Yeah, there's like a handful of cards in the dark that I would really like to pick up.
I'd like a few of them.
All these years we weren't playing Magic. All these years we weren't playing Magic. I wasn't paying any attention to these cards. I could have got them for really good prices. And just recently, the dark has started to increase. But
if I missed out.
If it drops, I don't need to be picking these cards up for $5-10. I'm fine paying $50 for some of these cards in the dark. I think they're worth it. I just want them to drop a little bit.
So going back to like the overall like intro to the dark conversation, I think this is an interesting set because it is,
yeah. It was more interesting than I realized.
It has a lot of
than I remembered.
It has a lot of theme to it and artwork, and everything in it is about like gothic horror and like this kind of New England witch hunty sort of theme with the artwork.
Do you ever watch any of the videos by Ristic Studies on YouTube?
That seems familiar. That sounds familiar, but I'm not sure.
You should look up his video on the dark. He has a really cool video on the atmosphere and the theme.
Oh, okay.
And
I might have watched that.
The gothic aspect to both the art and the cards themselves, like their abilities, their effects. It's a really good video.
Okay. Noted.
Heuristic studies. I can't remember what that particular video was called, but I think it's one of his. Just sort by like views. I think it's one of his most viewed videos.
Cool. Yeah, you mentioned Preacher, one of the most iconic and most expensive cards in the set.
I do want a preacher. Preacher, I would actually play with. It would be fun to play with.
I would too, but it's a weird card because I've always kind of liked it. I've always kind of wanted it. There's always been some hype around it, and I've always sort of thought that it was a little overhyped. Like I just I don't think it should be quite that expensive. I don't think, other than maybe for its rarity and art and how
It's
cool it
art.
is.
Yeah.
But just as far as how good it is and stuff, it's like it's good. It's fun casually, but is it a $70 card compared to some other cards? I'm not sure.
Maybe not playability wise, but flavor
Right.
wise and art
Right.
wise. Yeah.
And
I
that's
put
yeah.
put it in a fun deck for tabletop magic where you have Marikis, preachers, and old man of the
And
sea, and
this
you
is
just
kind of
steal
the
all your
theme, I
opponent's shit.
guess, for the dark, because the set's not super strong. Some cards are kind of good, but like it has theme and flavor, and I would still play this set for fun more readily than I would Fallen Empires or Homelands
Oh,
or
absolutely.
another bad set.
Not that garbage. Yeah.
And some of these cards I genuinely just want because of how cool they look. One of them is Cleansing. Uh, I think it's just like this is the kind of card I would put just like on a wall because it's like a beautiful painting, basically. Um,
I like the cry. I think it's Cry of the Martyr, the literal rich witch burning card.
yeah, I got one of those.
I really
I
like
think
that
I'm gonna
art.
get another one actually, because I like it so much. But yeah, look at the art on Cleansing. Like that's just I love that.
Cleansing.
Uh, new
Shout out
Magic
to
cards.
shout out
Huh?
to Pete Venners.
Pete Ranters, good
Shout out
job.
Pete Venners.
Good job. 94. Um, it's just like a great painting. I love it.
Yeah.
Card's not very good.
No.
Um,
But it's one of the more expensive cards in the set, right?
it is. It
20
is.
bucks. It's one of the top 10,
It had a
probably.
big jump. It's corrected. You know, I guess not if you look at the market line. If you look at that blue average, it jumped a huge bunch. But
Yeah.
maybe what it was selling for wasn't quite as much. But it went up over $20 from basically nothing. Uh, and now it's like 16 or 17 bucks, and I don't want to pay that for it, but I'm watching it because I'd like to have one because it's pretty. But yeah, you said Murder's Cry, which is one I think I mentioned when I bought it before we were recording this back in April or something.
Mhm.
uh it's been hovering around 20 bucks or something like that. uh but just I think this card really, what do I want to say? It encapsulates the feeling of the dark. It has
Yeah.
that, witch hunt feel to it. It's a little grim, but it's a little also
Very.
just I don't know. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but I like it. I think you could play that. You could play that in some kind of white weenie, white token deck to draw yourself cards, or
I can't even remember what it does. I remember I like the art.
it removes white creatures from the game and their owners draw cards. So you could use it on yourself or your
Oh
own.
yeah. Yeah, it's not a bad card. What's it called again?
Cry of the or Martyr's Cry. I'm sorry. That's
Okay,
what
because I was like, I'm typing in
might have
Cry. I
confused
thought it
you.
was Cry of the Martyr too. Two white sorcery. All white creatures are removed from the game. Players must draw one card for each white creature they control that is lost in this manner. So wipes all white creatures. Then you get to draw.
And I think there's a couple interesting things happening here. First, there's the must draw. Okay, so you could play that. You could play this in like a Black Vice deck,
Mm-hmm.
to some extent. It's players, so it's useful in multiplayer. You could wipe out a couple nasty creatures that are like multicolored. You could use it on multicolored commanders. Uh, Kill a bunch of semi-white or creatures that are white and something else.
Goodbye
Um,
Griffin deck.
yeah, you
Wipe the
could use
hell out
it
of some
on your
Griffins.
you could use it on your own white token creatures to draw cards.
Yes.
Um, so it has a couple different situational uses. It's only 2 mana. It'd be better if it was an instant, but it's it's kind of fun. I don't know if I would try playing with it for fun, and then it
See
probably
what
wouldn't work.
happened.
But then I would be glad that it was in my binder because it looks cool.
Yeah,
So,
it looks cool. That's honestly the
um,
reason I want it, because it looks cool.
Fellwar Stone, probably another card worth talking about in the dark because it's pretty good, and I want one, but
It is good.
its price is,
Been
for a card
reprinted
that has
multiple
been
times.
for a card that has been reprinted a
So
lot.
many times. Yeah.
Dark version is still annoyingly like $20 or something.
Yeah. I have a beat up one sitting in my box. It was in the pack of like the stack of 100 cards or so that I actually kept.
Okay, it's like $16 now, I think, but it's down a little bit too, I think. So it's been this is one of the reasons I wanted to start talking about this set because I think people have an idea that it's like 64 million cards. It's like not a small set for you know existing rarity purposes. Um, but I'm kind of like, if there's that much the dark out there, then why is, you know, like a vanity purchase copy of a card that has been reprinted a bunch, you know, $16 to $20?
I don't know.
Or
Everybody
do
that plays
that
old
many
school,
people want Fellwar Stones?
anybody that plays any sort of old school format is going to want a dark Felwar Stone. They're going to
Yeah.
get that because
The new one for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
And I get that.
because it's only $20. If you can pick up the original, if you're
Yeah.
playing any kind of old school format and you could pick up an original of something for like around $20 or less, you're gonna do it. You're not
Yeah.
gonna bother with the cheaper
No, you're
ones.
right. It's
Actually,
not
I
out
just
of
made a purchase today.
place.
I bought a Tormod's Crypt from the dark. I forgot
Oh yeah.
about that.
That's cool. It's
Which
cool
is the
card.
most played card. I think I could be wrong about this, but I swear I heard over the past couple days, listening to the podcast, that Tormod's Crypt is the most played card in pre-modern. And I was like, oh damn, I got to get
Oh,
something.
wow. I
Because
thought you were
all
gonna say out of the dark.
no, in pre-modern,
Wow.
the whole format, because all the graveyard decks in the format, so they need graveyard hate. Everybody has it in their sideboard.
Wow.
That's a card that I got, and I got an original Dark Brain. I wasn't even going to think about buying one of the
Oh yeah,
reprints. It's been
for
reprinted many
sure.
times. I think they're like $15 near mint or something right now. So
I
maybe
get you.
less. I
Like,
think I
yeah,
might
I'm
have got it
looking
around 10.
for those the sweet oldness. But yeah, I started talking about Nameless Race at the beginning too. That's a card that got targeted a little bit a couple weeks ago, I think, for a buyout. It spiked.
Hmm.
A couple people were buying it, and now it dropped back down a bit. And I was like, should I buy this for 11 or 12 bucks? I'm not sure. Uh, I don't know that it's going anywhere. I think it's not, I don't think its value is going to go up. If people keep buying it, it's still going to correct and go back down. But it's kind of a fun card.
All these cards are pulling up are Quentin Hoover art. Preacher,
Really?
and then Nameless Race and Felwar Stone. Not all of them,
Yeah,
but 3.
probably has a lot of stuff in the dark. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would play this card for fun. It's good in a multiplayer game where there are a lot of white cards that have been played. You can make
Nameless
it as
Race.
big as you want.
3 colorless, 1 black, star, trample. Pay star life when bringing Nameless Race into play. Effects that prevent or redirect damage may not be used to counter this loss of life. When Nameless Race is brought into play, star may not be greater than the total number of white cards all opponents have in play and in their graveyards. Yeah, it's kind of wild. And
So
you play a white weenie deck, you wipe out all their white weenies with Martyr's Cry.
yeah.
They're all in the graveyard. Then next turn,
removed from the game.
then same turn, boom. Oh, are they removed from the game or in the graveyard? I was going to say, then you follow it up with Nameless Race and you trample them.
I think it's removed from the game.
Ah, damn it. Never mind. Not that ever would really work.
Good idea for a
deck or
combo.
anything.
We were just talking about it.
Combo against a very specific type of deck.
But this dude, I mean, for 4 mana, you could get whatever 15/15 trample creature going. As long as you're playing one or enough opponents that have used some white cards so far.
Yeah, it could
Or
be interesting in a multiplayer game. I never think about multiplayer
no,
games, but this would be fun in a multiplayer game.
yeah, it's one of those cards that gets better in the multiplayer format for sure.
Yeah.
But again, it's back down, which is nice, but I still don't know if I want to buy it for $11 and I'll watch it and wait. I think it'll hang out around there, or maybe go down to 9. Something.
Yeah. Plus, my boy's shredded. Look at how shredded he is.
Yeah, he is.
He got those muscles. What are those muscles right there down there? Yeah. Lower back.
Got some lower lats there.
Yeah, low.
Covering up everything else. Last few couple cards in the dark. I want to mention. Not that there aren't more cards here we could talk about, but Knights of Thorn is a card I've always just liked the art.
The red faces.
And I love these dudes. And it annoys me that it's so expensive. I guess
there are.
In the day, I didn't realize it was a rare. I sort of thought like this card is like an uncommon or something. Yeah. But I want to have Knights of Thorns, but I don't want to pay $15. Darn it!
Knights of Thorn Inferno combo deck. That's all.
And then Dark Sphere is an uncommon, and it was, I believe I read someone was targeting it for a buyout a while ago.
Knights of Thorn is reserve list? Why?
Yeah,
why, man? Why do you make things like this reserve list? There's no, like, what was the reasoning?
I don't know.
Is banding a thing? Did they put everything with banding on reserve list?
No, they definitely didn't. They definitely didn't do with everything with banding, but
it's an overcosted 2/2 protection from red. I mean, why put that on the reserve list?
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe banding might have been part of the reason why they did that. I think it was probably more genuinely like for the art and flavor of the card. They're like, this was a card from the dark that had, feel, and we don't want to. I guess maybe that's.
I mean, so was Blood Moon. They fucking reprinted that.
So so was every card from the dark, literally.
Yeah, Tormund's Crypt. So was Tormund's Crypt.
But yeah, Dark Sphere, it got pumped up in value. It's not a bad card. I wouldn't mind having that for something. I like zero cost artifacts.
Zero casting cost artifact. Tap. Sacrifice Dark Sphere to prevent half of the damage done to you by a single source rounded down.
It's a great quick early answer to an early, like a channel fireball sort of thing. Like you can get that out for nothing and like stop their, turn to kill.
Which nobody's going to channel fireball you these days, Alex. It's not.
I'm just saying, some combo like that. And why wouldn't they? What do you mean?
What I don't even know what format are you going to be channel fireballing people
in like
nowadays.
Vintage or Legacy, right? Probably.
I don't even know.
Turn 1, if you have they have Power 9 and shit. Like someone might be running that deck.
No, but I'm just trying. I really have to look up like the banned list these days. I wonder if it's actually legal. If there's any format where it's legal to channel fireball somebody. Is channel fireball legal? I mean, is channel legal? Of course, fireball's legal.
Yeah, we can figure that out for next week, or look it up right now.
Yeah, Dark Sphere really. This is quite a spike,
right?
475 all the way up until March 2022.
5x. It's a little bit later than most of the other card spike. This was a beginning of this year.
It was a late spec. People were like, "Oh, everything else has already been bought out. What can we spike now for no good reason?"
Yeah.
What's left?
Well, but I mean, it's not it's an okay card, but
not a $20.
$5, please.
Yeah, not a $20 card. Not reserve list. Never been reprinted. I hope somebody buys all of them, and then I hope Magic the Gathering reprints it in a set with their biggest print run ever.
That'd be fun.
I hope they print a whole set with this nothing but the Dark Sphere. Anyways, from the dark, I want Preacher, Ball Lightning, Blood Moon. I want the biggies.
I want City of Shadows, Preacher. Mana Vortex is a weird card. I'm not sure if I like it or not.
Don't even remember it.
I can see how it might have some use.
Is it green?
But I want more Martyr's Cry and Cleansing and Fellwar Stone for sure.
Mana Vortex is blue. Why did I say green?
Yeah. So
that is a reserve list card. 1 colorless, 2 blue, enchantment. Each player who controls land sacrifices 1 land during his or her upkeep. If at any time there are no lands in play, Mana Vortex is destroyed. If you do not sacrifice a land when Mana Vortex is cast, Mana Vortex is countered. It's like an abyss for lands, right?
Okay.
I'm reading it. Does it seem like an abyss for
I know.
lands?
Yeah, I mean that's a comparison.
Mhm.
Do you have to sacrifice a creature when you bring Abyss into play?
No.
So yeah, it's similar, not
Yeah.
but yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's definitely something you could do with this card. It's like a blue land destruction,
Yeah.
which is rare. Um, I like the art on it. The art's kind of neat. It looks like I don't know, kind of like sci-fi novel covery.
You get a vortex in there.
You got a vortex. Throw in a vortex.
It's appropriate
Um,
for Mana Vortex.
it sucks that it puts you behind first with that land loss.
Yeah.
Since you know it's coming, you can kind of play around it. You play like a lot of mana rocks in this deck, or you whatever, play something that gets basic land into play faster so that you don't mind, right? I don't know. I haven't thought much about this card, but I do like the art and its reserved list. And uh, you know, I don't know. I don't know. It's
You
come
don't
back
sound that
down
pumped
from
about
its
it,
crazy
Alex.
spike a little bit. So
It doesn't look like it's worth $45.
that's what I think. I don't want to
Yeah.
pay 40 some dollars for this, but I would pay 20 some dollars for it. Also, it's like if you have you might need more than one in your deck if you're doing something with this, you know? Right? No, is that a crazy thing to say? Like if you're playing some sort of blue land destroying strategy, uh and Mana Vortex is maybe like the linchpin to your deck, like
But
you might need more than one of it in your deck.
wow, it was a weird comment
You
because
know,
if you're ever building a deck around any kind of strategy based on the function of a particular card, you might want more than one copy of that card in your deck. Also, if you're building a blue land destruction deck, you might be limited to that. What else? I'm sure there's other shit out there, but
well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
blue isn't actually known for land
this
destruction.
seems like a card that you might be building a deck around, or might be an
Yeah,
important part.
it would be unexpected if my opponent was playing blue. I wouldn't be expecting to face a land destruction deck.
Yeah.
When you brought up Knights of Thorn, I thought the dark has a few really cool cards. With there's a few cards with art that just focus, really cool art that focuses on faces. Well, they have images of a few faces in particular. So Knights of Thorn was one because it's the red face, right? Elves of Deep Shadow. I want some of these too.
Which, by the way, is very 90s to me. This is kind of like some like semi-goth.
This is Natalie Merchant as a hot elf.
Yeah, this is like a close-up from a music video for sure. But I know
Natalie Merchant, but more dangerous, hotter and more dangerous. Elves of Deep Shadow, and then what's the other one? The other one is a witch.
I think you might say Blood of the Martyr. If you don't, you should.
It's a red-faced witch with like crazy hair. Is Blood of the Martyr a red-faced witch with crazy hair?
Maybe I said murder because we were just talking about that. Maybe I'm wrong. Blood of.
Oh, I forgot about this one. Oh, this one's awesome. Yes.
I bought a few of these back this spring because it's so cheap and it's like it's cool art and may as well have it.
Okay, Blood of the Martyr, amazing. Bleeding blood, crying blood,
bleeding blood,
red eyes, bleeding blood. Blood of the Martyr, 3 white, instant. It doesn't matter what it does. I'm just interested in these cards for the art. For the remainder of the turn, you may redirect damage done to any number of creatures to yourself instead. Christopher Rush. Let's see if the same person is responsible for this really cool face art. Christopher Rush, Blood of the Martyr, Elves of Deep Shadow, Jesper My Force. What is this? This is fantastic podcast material, but I'm just going to sit here until I find the other dark card with really cool face art.
Okay.
Knights of Thorn was Christopher Rush. So 2 out of the 3 cool faces, Christopher Rush. This other card is a cheap card too, and I just remember it's a witch. It is not Witch Hunter.
Witch Hunter is strange art.
very strange.
Like it.
Yeah, I'm not totally that into it.
It looks more like a scarecrow or something than a witch hunter. Um,
I don't
Eternal
remember.
Flame is sort of an interesting card.
Which one is it? You talk about
Eternal
that while I
Flame.
try to find this other
Yeah. Oh yeah. Eternal Flame is a sorcery, 2 red, 2 colorless. It does an amount of damage to your opponent equal to the number of mountains you control, but half that damage to you rounded up. So for forecasting cost, potential for a big bomb, and you take some damage too. Art is neat. I like it. It's like 2 cultish masked dudes with hook poles standing near a crazy fire.
I love all those things.
Sounds sweet to me. And it's reserved list, and it's $10, I think. Let's see. Yeah, $9, which is I would buy this for $8. Eternal Flame. Find your face yet? Oh, Sisters of the Flame.
I just found them. So I found it. Yeah, I found it, and I found another one that I forgot about. There's so much cool, creepy face art in the Fallen. I mean, in the Dark. So another one, Fallen.
Oh,
the Fallen. 1 colorless, 3 black, summon Fallen, 2/3. During his controller's upkeep, the Fallen does 1 damage to each opponent as previously damaged.
This is a card that I think would
During his controller's upkeep.
people would think it was better if it hadn't been like in Chronicles. Was it in Chronicles?
I don't remember. Let me click on it.
I'm almost
it was
positive.
reprinted. It was. I forgot it was in Chronicles.
Yeah. And it looks terrible with that white border.
It does.
So much better with the black border.
I was thinking about Chronicles today. And there really were like the Chronicles really took a lot of wind out of the sails for a lot of cards for me as a child. Like all of a sudden things that I thought I wanted.
Yeah. No longer want.
Yeah. And part of it is because now they were attainable and I was like, oh, who cares? But also a part of it was, I think a bigger part of it was they really look so much worse with the white border.
Sure.
And I feel like the Chronicles cards don't feel as good. Like they were printed more cheaply. That might just be psychological. I'd have to pick them up and compare.
I can see that. I think you started to notice a little bit of a change in card feel around that like 4th, 5th edition Chronicles area, right? Those sets maybe feel a little bit different but then it got obviously way worse with like the new border era cards, and they feel like flimsy garbage.
So I gotta buy some of these kick-ass dark cards with
sweet. Look at that card, Fire and Brimstone. I've been wanting for a while. Sorry, it's not a face.
Wait, we're focused on the face art right now for a second. The Fallen, Jesper Myforce, same person that did the Dark Natalie Merchant, Blood of the Martyr, Christopher Rush, great art. And then the one that I was thinking of that I couldn't find, that I finally found, Sisters of the Flame, Jesper Myforce. So he's responsible for most of this kick-ass face art from the Dark. Sisters of the Flame, 1 colorless, 2 red, summon sisters. Might be the only summon sisters in Magic the Gathering. 2/2, tap to add red to your mana pool. This ability is played as an interrupt. All these, you can buy all this cool face art for under $2 a card. Now, what were you going to say? I'm done with the face art.
Oh,
Fire and Brimstone.
Fire and Brimstone. I think that's a cool looking card.
It is
like
a cool
card on that.
Yeah. Look, I'm looking at this whole page of uncommons. You can still pick all these up. You can pick these up for under $2.
Yeah.
And so many of them have really great art. Even ones that aren't playable, really like a cool Golem,
which I don't think is that set that looks great in like a binder.
Those, yeah.
You know, you can like flip through some pages of the Dark and just like look at all of these cards.
It definitely still attainable. Like if you wanted to buy one of the old sets, this is the one that you could actually afford.
What was the one I just mentioned? Eternal Flame? It was Eternal Flame.
Keeper of the Flame?
Was that it? Keepers of the Flame?
The cult members with the hook stuff? I'll find it in a second.
Eternal Flame.
That's a rare. $10 market price right now.
Reserve list rare. It's not a bad card. I mean,
2 colorless, 2 red, sorcery. Eternal Flame does an amount of damage to your opponent equal to the number of mountains you control. But it also does half that amount of damage to you, rounded up. Yeah. How many mountains are you gonna have? Five,
In a straight red deck?
five, six. You're gonna want your opponent to be dead pretty much by turn what? If you get beyond turn 7, you're probably gonna be in trouble, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's different these days. Back in the day, we used to play some long games and stuff.
We were slow as hell
But
back in the day.
you're
We
right.
weren't
They
competitive.
play fast games these days.
Yeah.
Um,
Trying to think.
with cheap mountains into play. Uh, I'm wondering if, since in a multiplayer game, would it now become opponents or would it become target opponent? On Gatherer, yeah, I remember looking this up before. They changed it to target opponent or planeswalker
Oh.
instead of to your opponent. And I feel like they should have changed it to your opponents. And then it would be sweet in a commander game.
But they did it, Alex.
But they didn't.
You can get a Sharpie out and you can add an S.
Maybe I can petition them to change it.
Nobody would notice if you had it modified well, if you did a good job modifying it.
Yeah.
Nah, somebody would notice. There wouldn't be enough space in between.
Yeah. Too bad.
We could make a whole new format where it's just like a format that already exists, but Eternal Flame targets opponents instead of opponent. That could be the one.
Well, the sky's
change
the
to the
limit with
format.
our formats. I thought about that earlier. I was thinking about a format. I actually wrote this down to mention. What about a format where you play repeated games, but you're this? I think this is going to sound dumb when I say it out loud. It's like a sideboard idea, but instead of using a sideboard, it's like you change one card in your deck after each match.
Just one.
Just one. Or maybe you change it to just 3.
And that one doesn't have to be pulled from your sideboard. It can be pulled from anywhere.
Right. It's just like every round you restructure your deck in response to your opponent by just a little bit.
That would be fun for that would be a really fun whole day Magic event.
Yeah. The problem is you have to play a lot of matches.
Well, yeah. No, it would be a whole day, and then you could see where your deck started and where it ended.
Exactly. It makes your deck slow, creep evolve in a direction.
Yeah. It would be that would actually, I would enjoy that. It would be fun to see how far away from your original deck.
Cheers. I'm glad you liked my idea.
It wasn't even stupid, Alex. That was pretty fun. You said it was going to be stupid.
Well, as soon as I started to say it, I was worried that you were going to be like, that's just like having a dumb small sideboard.
No, that's better than a sideboard. I don't like sideboards.
Okay, yeah.
I prefer to have no sideboard and just play. Play the deck. But this is so much more interesting than the sideboard because
the rest of your cards are your sideboard, and you just.
I'm just thinking about how many different directions it could evolve in. That'd be pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. One last thing to say about the dark, I guess, just sort of as a financial. That's a cool card, Inferno.
Yeah, I almost bought one of these like a month and a half ago.
It's so expensive, but it does look cool.
It's not
black border.
It's not expensive.
No, I mean like the mana cost.
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely.
It's like a Timmy card.
Yeah, that's probably why I wanted it.
I like there's going off topic. There's a Black Legends card. Which one is it? Fire. Did we already say Fire and Brimstone? It's like that.
That's the dark.
Dang it! What's the Black Legends card? I'll find it in a jiffy.
What is it? Is it related in some way to Inferno?
I like the art, yes, and Fire and Brimstone in Inferno. It's a similar giant destruction sort of.
Let me think. Lots of fire and destruction and legends.
Black card. It's
black.
Hero's Taker. I'm about to find it.
Not Hell's Caretaker. Not Jovial Evil. Not another Black
Legends. Has a demon card on it, and he's on a battlefield, and he's like torching the battlefield.
There's a demon on a battlefield. Oh, that sounds like something I should remember.
I'm concerned because I think it's more expensive now than I was worried about, than I thought it was, because I can't find it.
Is there a possibility that you made it up?
Hellfire. Hellfire. It is more expensive than I
Oh
thought.
yeah,
Dang it.
like $75,
No more even.
like
Near
Tree
mint is
Fitty.
$235.
That's too much for Hellfire.
But I love the art on that. That's cool.
It is pretty cool. It's reserve list. It was $45 pre-COVID.
Look at 2013, 2015.
What is this? Beelzebub incinerating people on the battlefield.
I like how the soldiers are just there. No chance.
All
This is
non-black
a
creatures
John
are
Milton
destroyed.
quote from Paradise Lost. Like
Yeah.
I like these old cards that have a cool quote from a poem or a play or something.
Hellfire does X plus 3 damage to you. X is the number of creatures placed in the graveyard. Damn.
I
Damn,
mean,
girl.
yeah. It is, yeah. It would
This
deal
is
a lot of damage.
this is not playable. But it's still $200 because it's a reserve list. Legends. I wonder if this is in
Commander.
decks.
How about in Commander? You have 40 life.
I know, but still.
Yeah, it's not playable really.
You have 40 life, but you have
I
more
just
than
like
one
the art.
opponent.
I just like the art.
And you're
Why is
incinerating.
it so expensive? It must be someone's playing it, right? If it's that expensive,
No, they're buying it because
there are Legends cards with art this good that aren't that expensive for no reason,
they're
right?
buying it because it's a reserve list Legends.
Yeah. There are other
Yeah,
ones.
that's it.
Typhoon is $35.
And it has kick-ass art.
Typhoon has kick-ass art.
No, Typhoon is a fat cloud blowing on you.
I'm gonna buy one. It's like $34 right now. I'm watching it. I'm gonna buy it. Reserve list. Come on, I like that card. It's cool. It's not good, but it's cool.
A fat cloud man.
I like it. In fact, it's old Magic card. I like this because like no new Magic card would ever be illustrated like this.
Yeah.
That's like reserved list art.
And I mean, it's the best fat
No.
cloud man card in Magic. I can't think of a better fat
I
cloud
mean, you
man
use that
card
in the multiplayer game again for 3 mana. You could late in the game, you could do some damage to people.
If they have islands.
Green, that who doesn't have islands?
People who don't play blue.
Everyone, but in a multiplayer game, like 2 or 3 of the people are gonna have islands.
And people who are playing multicolored decks, they might have like 2 islands, maybe. Typhoon's a bad card, Alex. You know it. You've never actually wanted to play.
I already said it.
I agree. It's cool, but it's only because I like stupid Legends cards.
Yeah, I mean, it should be $20, not 35.
Yeah, I would buy a Typhoon in a heartbeat for $15-20.
Cool.
Which we could have done for like 7 years up until 2021.
I know.
Or even before that, we could have bought it for like $3 when we were not paying attention to Magic.
Yeah. Like when none of these cards are worth money. Damn it. What's wrong?
I really don't. I want to find like some old price lists from like 2005 to 2010.
Yeah, that intermediary area.
Because I really wonder how much some of these Legends. I have no idea. I wasn't paying attention at all. I feel like when we were kids and we didn't even have $5 to go buy a card, a Legends rare was $5 to $10 for the most part. Am I wrong to think that? If we were to walk into Hot Shots,
say a Legends rare, like there were lots of different. There was a big variation, but
could we have walked into Hot Shots and bought Typhoon for $2?
Yeah.
Could we really?
No, maybe not. Because some of those
I feel like the commons. I feel like they were selling the commons and stuff for that amount.
Yeah, and there were definitely cards that were. It's just tough because I know they were overcharging on certain things, so it's hard to put it into.
Well, but that's what they were available for at the time, because back in 2005, not everybody was. Things weren't. You couldn't get on TCG Player. I mean, I was definitely. It's not like you couldn't buy them on the internet. I bought my Library of Alexandria on the internet when I was like 15.
Yeah, well, yeah, we started buying cards on the internet in the 90s on like dial-up text-based internet connection.
Yeah, message boards. And I went to the post office and I got a friggin' money order and I mailed it to England, and then the card showed up.
And almost no one was doing that, but
yeah, it was a little bit more. It was more of a pain in the ass than it like. It wasn't
It was
like
great
just
though. When we found out we could do that, we were getting cards for like 30% cheaper than card stores or anywhere else you could find them, at least.
yeah.
Uh, it was great to have access to markets in other towns and stuff that we didn't normally have.
I guess what I don't remember though, because I wasn't trying to buy up like a bunch of Legends cards or a
Yeah,
bunch
I
of
don't
Brave Masters.
remember the prices for the cards I didn't actually buy or I wasn't super interested
Exactly. I had like a handful of cards that I wanted. I targeted those cards. Those were usually highly desirable cards. They were probably like $20 to $30 at the time.
Yeah,
The Moxes were, they were out of my range already at 75.
yeah.
But I wondered like all this other stuff. Could I have picked it up for 50 cents, $2, $3?
Maybe not the rares, definitely uncommons. I'm thinking about it's tough because I'm thinking about a card like Jovial Evil. Okay,
Okay.
if you look at the graph for forever, it says it was like $5, which is almost nothing. But I think back in the mid '90s, it was more than that. I think a Jovial Evil would have been $20 for us or $15.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking too.
Um,
Back in the 90s, but now what I'm wondering, I have this total gap. I don't have a really good memory of what the prices were, like I said, when we were young kids. I can't, I think it was hard to find this stuff for under $5, $10 at Hot Shots. Can't remember.
yeah,
But what I really have no idea of is what the prices were for these cards from like 2005, 2010.
yeah,
When like
right.
I actually had a
That's what we're
job
missing.
and I could have bought them.
These
Could I have
sites
gotten
don't
Jovial Evils for
do so.
$7 a piece, or were they like
Yeah.
40 a piece? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if these cards took a big dip or if they were
That's what I'm wondering.
low for
Did they
that. Or
take a
again,
huge
if
dip?
this is just like bad information that we have in front of us when it says it was $5, and maybe it really wasn't for that big flat period.
That's what I want to pick up some of these old. Where would be the best place to look? Should I find like an old what were the magazines that used to list the price? Inquest,
Try,
Gry.
yeah,
Find an old magazine, like an old edition
yeah,
on
probably
eBay
yeah.
from
From
like
those years, I
2009.
don't even know if they stopped printing them for at some point or if
Yeah.
they're available for those. But yeah, I'd say probably trying to get some magazines from
I want to figure that out. I
early
want to find some
2000 period.
old editions from like post financial crisis, like
That would be
2009,
very
2010.
useful. That would be useful information.
I want to find pre financial crisis, like 2005 to 2007. And then I want to see the prices like 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
See what happened.
I want to know, try to figure out my mind and my brain thinking, Steve. For some reason, I wrote down Allurin, and I don't know why I wanted to talk about that card from Tempest.
It's the basis of some really cool decks in pre modern.
I mean, it's an expensive, good card.
Oh
But I
shit! I didn't
don't know
realize it was that
why
expensive.
I brought it up. I think maybe just because the price had dipped,
Because it's dipping.
an acceptable amount.
Yeah,
Card is good and has value, and I'm kind of like, is this where it will settle? Maybe that's what I was wondering. I don't know.
I think I want to start picking some up at some point. Allurin.
I mean, it's a card I'd like to have for sure.
Reserve list,
Float
Tempest, two
the
colorless, two green,
float stuff.
enchantment. Any player may play a creature card with total casting cost 3 or less whenever he or she could play an instant and without paying its casting cost.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. People do things with this card. I have to look up some Allurin decks.
So, do you like if you compare this card to Natural Order?
I don't
Um,
remember what Natural Order does.
okay, it's the same casting cost.
It's a Visions card, right?
Yeah, it's the same casting cost, but it basically lets you put a creature into play immediately without paying its casting cost. Um,
A sorcery, though. It's not an enchantment,
yes,
right?
correct.
Let me read Natural Order for the viewers, for the listeners. We don't have viewers. We're not viewing yet. Two colorless, two green, same casting cost. Sorcery. You have to sacrifice a green creature, search your library for a green creature card, put it into play as though it were just played, shuffle your library. So you have to sack a creature. It only works one time, but you're not limited to creatures with a low casting cost.
And your opponent can't do it either.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I learned that's a big issue. Any player may do this. What do I think about them?
So they're, I mean, they're obviously
In
different
comparison.
cards. They're not,
Yeah, they're very different.
like, but for the reason I thought of it is because of the same casting cost. And I'm kind of wondering if I'm at the point where I can pay that in the game, uh, do I want to bring out my big fatty, or do I want to bring out a bunch of little guys and let my opponent also do it?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of thinking I might want to bring out my big fatty. Sacrifice a green creature is nothing. It's just going to be a Llanowar elf.
I don't know. I'd really have to think about this for a little while.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say it's better or anything. I'm just, you know, uh,
it would really depend on the type of deck I'm playing. I can think of a
yeah.
Lauren, like a thing,
Oh yeah, they'd be
types of
different.
decks I want to play for a Lauren.
They'd be very different because yeah, it'd be smaller versus
Here's what's
bigger.
throwing me off.
Here's what's throwing me off.
Something that in a deck I'd want to play natural order in. Would I ever actually ever play natural order? Or would I just go to straight to survival of the fittest?
Ah,
And would natural order just never even make it
so
into a deck?
expensive.
Survival of the fittest, one colorless, one green enchantment. So it's not a one-use thing, lower
Right.
casting
Right.
costs.
Lower casting cost.
You have to pay a green every time I activate it. But when you do that, you discard a creature card, so you don't sacrifice a creature. You discard it, and then you search your library for a creature card, reveal that card to all players, put it into your hand. So it doesn't go straight into play. Doesn't go straight into play. Alex, this is hard.
And look how expensive
I know.
$20.
Money's nothing to me, Alex.
Let's get some dual lands up in this bitch.
I have 3.
Which ones do you have now? You have a
The cheapest ones.
huh?
All the cheapest ones.
A plateau, a savannah, and a
Oh, actually, no, I have a plateau, a scrubland, and a taiga. So
cool.
Savannah's actually are cheaper than taigas.
Cool. I think Taiga's sort of like representative of dual lands in general to me, because I think it's maybe like the first one that I had like 4 of. It was like the first time that I like, in my young evolving magic days, it was the first time I had like a dual colored deck with 4 of the, I was playing red green with 4 Taigas or something. And that was probably the first time I had.
Tundras are the ones for me because I always
Huh?
liked tundras are my favorites. I was always blue white with a splash of red.
I'm not saying it's my favorite, just probably like it was the first one that I used. Because I use volcanic islands a lot.
This is hard. I need to think about these 3 cards and what kind of decks they're actually used in. If certain deck types, I mean, definitely certain deck types, one is better than the other. But
yeah,
in a world where you could run one of these or 2 of these in a deck, would you ever even want to try to build a different deck around the third or the second?
oh,
Does one create a deck that's just so much more powerful than the others that you don't even bother with it?
maybe probably survival of the fittest.
Well, that's the one that I see. Yeah,
I think it's the most abusable.
But the cards do go to. I've never played with this card. It's obviously really great. Just when you
I've
read
never
it,
played with it either.
be interested in playing with it, and see if I'd ever care that it only put the creature into my hand. I think probably not, because you can do this every turn. You just work your way up.
I think you're using it, like
work your way up.
Like a, I don't want to say mill, but like the opposite of that, like some sort of, like Howling Mine-ish effect, or Sylvan Library-ish effect, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Every turn you can put a creature into your hand that's appropriate to play on that turn.
yeah. So you can like ramp up the strength of your creatures. Like you get rid of this creature and you get a better one, and then you get,
and you don't have to
worried about.
You don't have to sacrifice one. So when you start pulling those 1-drops, When you start drawing those 1-drops
Yeah.
on turn 4 or turn 5, you don't want them
Yeah.
anymore. Who cares? You just
What I'm
pitch
worried
them and then
about
you go
is
get the
that
big
your
one.
hand size, does this like drain your hand size down so much and then you don't have any more creatures to discard? You have to play it with something probably that is like giving you draw or giving you I don't
Yeah.
know. Like how do you not like run out?
Yeah. Discard decks cannot be a problem, I guess. You're playing against those.
I mean, I guess I mean yeah, you can still use it to bring out fatties, so you don't necessarily need to bring out a lot of creatures with it. Um, and it's nice to just have it down then at a low casting cost, and you can use it when you want.
Yeah. I
And I'm
wonder
all
how I got to watch some gameplay with Survival of the Fittest. I
so
wonder
okay.
how.
So you could use it the first time you use it. It's almost as good as a natural order. It's like less mana, but it goes to your hand. But it stays, and you can keep doing it. So it's like
Mhm.
the question is, what creature are you bringing to your hand, and are you able to cast it? Is it something that you have to be doing it with like medium casting cost creatures, probably? You
Yeah.
know, something that are like 4 casting cost or 3. I don't know.
I got to watch some gameplay for with Survival of the Fittest
We should
decks
look at the
and
comments on this card and see
and
it
then
combos
see
with.
how long it usually takes somebody playing Survival of the Fittest decks to kill their opponent.
Hmm.
Look, also this creepy little troll dude. He's doing the white supremacist signal with his hand.
Who's
You see that?
that? Is that what? Is that way? Oh, it's like the OK sign is white supremacist now. Is that like a thing? That's stupid.
That became a game thing like years
When
ago.
yeah, I heard that. Yeah,
Yeah.
when I see that, I think of like the game where you get someone to look and then you can punch them.
I know. That's what everybody was
That's what
saying.
it
They're
looks
like,
like
no,
he's
it's not
doing.
white supremacists. We used to just do that. And then they took all these like trolly, clearly white supremacist type photos where they were doing that. And they're just like, no, we're just a
Yeah.
punching game. It was just all stupid troll shit. Stupid internet troll shit. 4chan garbage.
4chan garbage. I have so many tabs open now. Wow.
Your computer's gonna crash. I think that's what crashed my well,
It's like as we go, the tabs just keep
yeah.
coming.
I'm sure that's not what crashed my computer earlier. I'm sure it was mostly the Zoom.
Um, the I almost said it like 3 times. I want to say it before I forget. My last comment about the dark going back is wait, okay, all right, wait.
We got to a lore and natural order survival of the
I
fittest.
know
Now
we
we're going
went through
back.
a lot of stuff.
We're going back to
I
the
forgot
dark.
this and I almost said it a few times. I just want to talk about like condition of the dark cards relative to how many of them there are. I think the print run is supposed to be like 64 million. It's bigger than the previous expansion sets, obviously, because Magic was getting bigger. But that's still not, it's still smaller than, any set after it, basically. Um, so the print run isn't huge, but people sort of poo-poo it because it's bigger than Legends. You know what I mean?
Print run. So my numbers say 75 million for the dark.
Okay, 75. All right.
There's 119 cards in the set. For
Okay.
Legends, there's 35 million printed, 310 cards in the set.
And that set size does make a difference too.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, so
But
yeah, obviously a bigger set than
yeah,
Legends, but moving forward again, like compared to
yeah.
things
Let me
coming
add some.
after it,
Let
it's
me add
still
some
small.
context. Fallen
Um,
Empires supposedly 350 to 375 million. Homelands 220 million.
yeah.
Ice Age
Those
500
Fallen Empires
million.
was too much, and Ice Age was also too much. Probably Alliances
Alliances
probably too much.
180 million. And then Mirage 400 million. Visions 180 million. It's hard to compare it to here. So I don't want to compare it to Mirage
Mirage, yeah, because that's like
or
even
Ice
Ice
Age
Age because
because those were
starter deck
giant
sets.
sets on the
Yeah,
size. It's
they were like
it's better to compare Legends to Ice Age and Mirage because they were huge sets, lots of cards.
well, also the time they were out, like I mean, I guess it's the same thing. Like when you look at the print run, it doesn't matter the temporal period, but like
No, it doesn't.
Mirage and Ice Age were like decks sets that there were core sets at the time. You know what I mean? They had land in them. They came with starter decks available. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never mind.
Well, I want to compare. Let's compare the dark to the supposed print runs for
I like comparing it to something like Vision
alliances and
or
visions. Alliances and visions. 180 million for those two. Weatherlight 180 million. These are sets with like 160 cards in them around there. The dark 75 million, 119 cards. Let's say the print one for the dark is like half of that for alliances,
one was small.
visions, Weatherlight.
Tempest, one of those around there was kind of small.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Tempest 400 million.
No, I
My
mean
numbers
the
could be
set
wrong.
size. I'm sorry, like the number of total cards in the set
I don't
wasn't
remember.
Weatherlight or Tempest. One of them was a small set like the Dark. It was only like 80 cards or 90 cards or something, I think.
The dark is 119 cards. Weatherlight is 167 cards. Visions is 167 cards. I think Stronghold and Exodus are
What about
similar, somewhere around 150. So I don't know what's small.
What about Tempest? Do you see?
I don't have the number of cards in Tempest written down,
Okay.
but it was the beginning set of a block, just like Mirage, just like
Okay.
Ice Age. So I'm assuming
Yeah,
that it's probably
I wonder
around
what I'm thinking
300
of
different
then.
cards, but
I
I
don't
could
know.
be
It
wrong.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The thing I was going to comment on though was what sort of condition did people keep their cards in from the dark? And I feel like the answer is shitty. Like,
Yeah.
uh, it
That was
was
prior to sleeves, definitely,
yes,
for
it's
most
early
people.
enough that people treated their cards shitty, but it was after some of these sets that even at the time had a lot of value. At the time, dark cards didn't have a lot of value.
No, they
But I
didn't.
think there's much like Ice Age cards, there was like sort of this idea that, oh, this set is kind of valueless. I will not treat it well. I'll give these cards to my younger brother. Um, Magic players kind of seem to have come in waves, and sometimes there's like a newer, younger crew coming in. And I think like the older people sometimes are like, oh, this new stuff won't have value. You know, I can give that to my kid, my younger brother, let them play with it uh, for their like shitty, cheap card deck. Um, and I think people did that with the dark. I don't think in Ice Age, you know, uh,
Yeah, it
I
wasn't
don't
prized
know.
the same way. It's when we played. People didn't look at the cards from the dark the same way they looked at some of the cool, some of the biggest cards from Arabian Nights or Legends,
Yeah.
especially not, unlimited beta stuff like that.
Yeah, even at that point, there was like a gap forming.
Yeah.
Um,
Tempest has about 350 cards in it, by the way.
oh
I'm
wow, okay,
looking at them. Yeah.
much bigger.
So yeah, on average, the dark cards are probably more beat up than
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, like, to get
some of that other stuff.
pristine cards from the dark, even though the set was a little bit bigger than what had come just before it, I think it's still an era where a lot of stuff got destroyed and beat up, and it's probably, functionally pretty equivalent to some of the, I don't know, I shouldn't say that, that's just speculation, but you know, the existing nice condition cards might be fewer than people think. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I'm sure there's not a ton. There's probably not a ton of them out there. It was still in the era where people weren't really taking care of their cards for the
Yeah.
most part. I mean, it was prior to us starting, really. It was
What's
released
sad,
just
I
before
still
we
see
started.
like newer era cards that are beat to hell, and I'm like, were people not yet playing in sleeves at this point? Like, how
Like
are
what
these
sets?
newer cards? I don't know, like anything, like
Like post Scourge, or
stuff, yeah, stuff around there, stuff from that era.
I mean, people
Yeah,
might feel the way about those cards that I
yeah,
felt about like
yeah, that's
Tempest
what I'm saying. Like, yeah,
Mirage. Like, is any of this shit ever going to be worth anything? There's no way.
I'll
Next
let
next minute,
my little
Lion's Eye
brother play.
Diamond's like $600.
Lions.
Anyways,
Oh,
although Lion's Eye Diamond is the only card that's that expensive for Mirage, but still,
I was looking at
still more expensive than I thought it was going to be.
yes.
Tempest cards are more expensive than I thought I was going to be. I want to buy some medallions, and I'm like, what the fuck? I don't want to spend $130 on a playset of pearl medallions.
No,
All the
I
medallions, I can't believe they're in between
I
30 and 40
agree about
bucks.
the medallions. Something I'd like to have again, but should not be that much money. Annoying.
And they got to be reprinted at some point in a big set, right? I saw that they were reprinted in
don't do
Commander
that.
2014. I don't know anything about the print runs of these Commander sets. Are they small print runs? Are they big print
I
runs?
think they're small because they're yeah.
But even these, you know,
I'm not sure.
I'm never going to buy one of these from Commander 2014. But even if I wanted to, even they're $26, $25, $30. Friggin', I need some pearl medallions, man.
Friggin'.
Anyways,
Huh?
I said anyways.
I was looking at Weatherlight, like the set prices the other day, and the set doesn't have very high value. Almost everything's cheap in it. The only expensive card is Null Rod, and then like Lotus Veil, $90, $45, and then it goes down from there. Like Scorched Runes and Mana Web are both around 30, and
Yeah, I don't know if any of this will ever be very valuable. Who knows? Null
the
Rod just
reason
gets a ton of play, and it's a very unique card. I mean, what else is out there in the world of Magic that you can
Null
play?
Rod.
And yeah,
I don't want to spend that much money on one, but I certainly want one. But the reason I looked at this was because I saw sealed packs of Weatherlight. And I think they were like $40. And I was like, holy shit, that's not much for a sealed pack. Like, uh, and then I started looking, I was like, oh yeah, the only way you get your money back basically is if you pull a Null Rod or like a Lotus Veil and a good uncommon.
yeah, yeah. That's it. That's same with Mirage. Like I saw Mirage packs. The market price for those are like 115 right now.
Yeah. Only
Uh,
way to, yeah, if you pull
which
Lion's
means,
Eye Diamond
yeah, you can make a big profit if you pull a Lion's Eye Diamond.
or what, like Vampiric Tutor or something.
That's Visions.
Is that Visions?
You can make a profit, a significant profit, if you pull a Lion's Eye Diamond.
Yeah, or you could get a Dreadnought and like the best uncommon, maybe.
And an Enlightened Tutor, and then make your money back. And that's about it. That's the only way you even make your money back.
Yeah.
Anything else is a significant loss. So I'll never understand the prices that these sealed packs go for, and I never understand who's actually buying them. Is the whole market being propped up by people who are like buying them just to do opening videos on YouTube?
That's part of it, I guess. That I guess some of it could be opening videos. Some of it is gradable cards.
Yeah.
Foil cards don't apply to this because they weren't in them.
Mm-hmm.
So probably those two, and then later the third. And speculation. Uh, and I guess if you get to a point where like if it becomes reasonable to get like better value out of the pack, then people would be buying them and opening them, which would drive the price up. So there's some equilibrium to be reached where it's going to be like the. But it does seem like it's high. It's not just like what you would average out of the pack. It's like the
Not even
best
close.
scenario out of the pack, which is stupid.
Not even double. It's like more than double what almost everybody who opens a pack is going to get in value.
You can take the average and double it, and it's more than that, which is ridiculous.
And then like one person out of every 500 will get a huge value. They'll make their money fivefold because they'll pull a Lion's Eye Diamond.
So weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. I don't understand the whole sealed pack world. But again, I only ever just had Magic cards too. I mean, I keep good care of them. I collect them also, but first and foremost, I always think of, even though I haven't played in a very long time, I think of the cards from a playability aspect, and like the idea that I would ever even want just cards sealed up in a pack. I have no interest in it whatsoever for any reason.
Even as like a display piece, it's too like I don't understand having like a booster pack as like a look, I have an alpha booster pack on my wall. Like, what the fuck?
Oh.
It's nothing until you open it.
I think they just want. I really would be interested to see what would happen to the sealed booster market if like YouTube disappeared, if there was no social media, if nobody could make money opening boosters
because I wasn't
getting views.
Thinking about that at the moment, but you're right. That's a driver for the price.
That's a whole thing. I don't know to what degree, but it definitely has some non-zero effect on the market.
Right. All right. Well, I might have to call it here.
Okay. That's the end of your dark.
I think so.
You're
Oh
done?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we can keep talking about the dark, and we can talk about the dark for days and days. But
No, I
those
think
were
we
a
should
few
just
of the things I wanted to hit, and
I think we should just end it now.
yeah,
It's been quite a
we've
while.
talked for a long time. We've made 2 podcasts, I think, if the first half is still there.
Yeah, that's the other reason I want to keep going, because what if the first what if the first half is non-recoverable? We'll see what happens. And then
We can
like
always
my
come back to this. I mean, these topics are very revisitable.
yeah, and I got a special topic of the week, but I'll just save that for next week.
Sweet.
Nice. Okay, we'll wrap it up, Alex. Now we're doing our wrap-up segment where I say, thank you for listening to Old Man Magic. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you for visiting our YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I need some sort of animation that tells people where to press. You can follow us on Twitter at Old Man Magic. You have anything else to add, Alex?
Thank you for tuning in and your time, and stay safe.
Okay.
Watch out for mana burn.
See you next week.
All right, take it easy.